Chapter 28-48. The current Jiyu Zhong was not a true saint king because he had yet to undergo his tribulation. Only after undergoing the tribulation would he be considered a true king among saints. Jiyu Zhong was very ambitious. He had purposefully suppressed his cultivation and did not trigger the tribulation in the human world. He would undergo it in the heaven realm. The laws of the human world were incomplete. Undergoing the tribulation in the human world could still allow him to become a saint king and the chances of success would be higher. However, the repercussions were not small. It would cause his path of cultivation to be incomplete and difficult to repair. Of course, there were many people who chose to undergo their tribulations in the human world. After all, it was safer there and the chances of success were much higher. Jiyu Zhong cultivated the perfect path of cultivation. Even though he was a saint king, he did not want to leave behind any repercussions that would affect his future cultivation. The sky was dark at this moment. The sky was filled with people, and there was a mountainous figure that occupied an entire region of the sky. In the sky above the mountain range in the distance, there was a figure even taller than the mountain range. It was a Qilin covered in a thick layer of scarlet scales. This was a pure-blooded Qilin divine beast. An extremely powerful presence radiated from its body, like a ball of fire burning in the surroundings. This time, Bulon did not come. Otherwise, he might have been able to meet his brother. This divine beast was also a fire Qilin. Fire Qilins were not commonly seen among the 5 elemental Qilins, but now, a fire Qilin had appeared here. Moreover, its cultivation was extremely powerful. Even Azure Dragon could not help but be moved when he saw this Qilin. In another direction, a divine ape stood between 2 mountains. The 2 mountains only reached the ape's waist. The foreign saint king Zhuo Qiandao had set up the arena for over half a year, attracting countless experts. He had defeated countless saint kings, and even a few ancient existences had fallen to his hands. Planet Buzhou, you belong to the South Pole Immortal Exalt. Jiyu Zhong examined his opponent before calmly speaking. He was Jiyu Fei's disciple, so he knew a little about Jiyu Fei's matters on planet Buzhou. His master, Jiyu Fei, had a grudge with the South Pole Immortal Lord of Buzhou Ancestral Star, as he had killed the strongest divine general of the South Pole Immortal Abode and the disciple of the South Pole Immortal Lord, Shen Tong. In the human realm, there weren't many cultivators who were successful in their cultivation. Apart from Jiyu Fei, the martial ancestors' bloodline didn't seem to have left any inheritance. Zhuo Qiandao immediately recognized that Jiyu Zhong was a martial artist. He had followed the South Pole Immortal Venerable for countless years, so he naturally knew that martial artists were different from the masses. You guessed it right, but there's no prize. Zhuo Qiandao smiled. Immortal qi surged around him as the pressure of a saint king radiated from him. All the stars in the sky seemed to tremble. On the arena, ancient immortal runes appeared one after another. A wave of energy enveloped the entire arena, protecting it. On this arena, there were countless marks left by sabers, spears, swords, and halberds. It was filled with the marks of time, and some places even had cracks. TCH, and here I was wondering who it was. So it's the South Pole Immortal Reverence people. That divine general enmity of yours, and that Shen Tong guy, both died at the hands of my master. You're just unlucky to have encountered me. Jiyu Zhong said disdainfully. Is that so? Zhuo Qiandao's gaze towards Jiyu Zhong became extremely sharp and his expression darkened. Shen Tong was his first senior brother. If he didn't die in the hands of Jiyu Fei, he would have already become an immortal reverend. Unfortunately, there were no IFS in this world. Zhuo Qiandao and Shen Tong had a good relationship. He wanted to avenge his first senior brother. Cut the crap, come at me if you want to fight. Jiyu Zhong hooked his finger at Zhuo Qiandao and said with an indifferent expression. He didn't put this personal disciple of the South Pole Immortal Reverend in his eyes. Invincible cultivators in the same realm wasn't a legend. Very well, since you want to die earlier, I'll grant your wish. Zhuo Qiandao's expression became even colder. His eyes were like a poisonous snake, staring at Jiyu Zhong. He really wanted to slap this bastard to death like a fly. Buzz. In the next moment, a sword hum came from Zhuo Qiandao's body. A sword light flew out from his body. It was as dazzling as the stars in the sky, directly piercing towards Ji Yuzhong. This was a stellar sword. Specks of starlight flickered around the sword light as if a starry universe was faintly discernible, giving off a powerful and cold feeling. Clang! Ji Yuzhong threw a punch. His fist instantly turned golden and dazzled with golden light. His golden fist instantly smashed against the starlight sword light that pierced through the air, producing a metallic sound. Seeing this scene, all the spectating experts were incomparably shocked. This man actually dared to use his body to resist the sword light of an alien. Could it be that this man's body was even more powerful than the opponent's tempered sword light? Under everyone's astonished gazes, the stellar sword light was blown away by Ji Yuzhong's fist. At the same time, Ji Yuzhong took a step forward with his extreme speed of 8 steps. He instantly approached Zhuo Qiandao and his golden fist directly smashed towards Zhuo Qiandao. It was a simple and direct battle skill that did not seem to have any technical content. However, it was this extremely ordinary battle skill that displayed unbelievable power. Zhuo Qiandao was startled. His legs moved and he instantly retreated like a phantom. At the same time, he waved his hand and the sword light that was blown away by Ji Yuzhong's fist immediately flew back. Star River hanging upside down, Zhuo Qiandao let out a roar and channeled all of his power into the starlight sword energy. In the next second, an extremely powerful force of the stars erupted from his body. The space around him seemed to have become a starry sky. Specks of starlight turned into stars that emitted a dazzling divine light. Countless starlight rays quickly converged as if they had truly turned into a star river. It hung upside down from the sky and slashed towards Ji Yuzhong. Boom! Just at this moment, a ball of resplendent golden light erupted from Ji Yuzhong's fist. It was as if a golden divine sun had suddenly appeared on the stage. The glaring golden light was so bright that no one could open their eyes. Everyone watching the battle was shocked beyond belief. At this time, Ji Yuzhong's fist force directly shook the starry sky created by Zhuo Qiandao. The golden fist collided with the stellar sword energy. Rumble! A powerful force spread out, causing the entire arena to shake. Ancient immortal runes emerged and interweaved into Dao diagrams that stabilized the entire arena. This arena was not ordinary and could withstand the impact of a heavenly king's power. Swish! 2 figures rapidly moved in the void. Ji Yuzhong was extremely powerful. He used his fists to continuously clash against Zhuo Qiandao's stellar sword energy. This guy's body is actually so powerful. Many people were shocked to the extreme, especially those who didn't know Ji Yuzhong's identity. They were dumbfounded. This person was too ferocious. Even Zhuo Qiandao himself felt that it was a bit unbelievable. One should know that no one knew the power of his stellar sword energy better than him. Can a cultivator really be invincible in the same realm? Zhuo Qiandao, don't believe it. Thinking up to here, Zhuo Qiandao's stellar sword energy became even more dazzling. An even more powerful sword energy erupted from his body. However, Ji Yuzhong continued to unleash his fist intent in the midst of the endless stellar sword energy. He unleashed one punch after another at a moderate pace. No matter how many stellar sword energies surrounded him, they couldn't get close to him. It's only been half a year and this guy's cultivation has actually increased to this level. Qing Long, who was watching the battle from afar, could not help being shocked by the scene on the stage. It must be known that Ji Yuzhong was not his match half a year ago, but from the looks of it now, it would not be long before Ji Yuzhong's cultivation and battle strength caught up to him. Xiaoqing was also astonished at this scene. The 9 secrets of immortal Dao were indeed heaven-defying. It had only been half a year but Ji Yuzhong seemed to have changed into a completely different person. In truth, what Xiaoqing didn't know was that Ji Yuzhong had truly become a different person to a certain extent. After all, Ji Yuzhong had undergone a metamorphosis after his rebirth, breaking out of his cocoon and becoming a butterfly. Naturally, he was different from before. The Daoist came to Xiaoqing's side. Sir Qing. The Daoist bowed to Xiaoqing. Xiaoqing nodded his head and then asked the Daoist, "Who do you think will win in the end?" "That's hard to say. After all, Jiyu Zhong isn't a true Saint King, but it won't be easy for that outsider to defeat Sir Jiyu Zhong either. The Daoist said after a moment of thought. That's as good as not saying anything. Little Qing glanced at Iron-Blood Daoist and said, "Ha ha." The Iron-Blood Daoist smiled awkwardly and did not say anything else. In truth, he could not tell who had won and who had lost. After all, both of their cultivations were about the same as his. In my opinion, that outsider is going to be out of luck. Little Qing said as he rubbed his chin. He looked at the two figures fighting in the arena in the distance. Dao patterns intertwined in his eyes. The Daoist couldn't help but think of something after hearing Xiaoqing's words. He thought of a possibility and it really did seem to be the case. That outsider was going to be out of luck. At this moment, the entire arena was enveloped by the starry sword radiance from Zhuo Qiandao's body. The entire arena seemed to be floating in the starry sky, making it difficult for ordinary saints to see what was happening inside. Only saints above the Saint King realm could clearly see what was happening inside. Ji Yufei's disciple isn't bad. An expert from the older generation murmured. Among the countless experts gathered nearby, a portion of them had a grudge against Ji Yufei, such as the Buddhist experts of the West Earth and the Dongfang clan. Chapter 2849. The Beitang clan was a cultivation clan of the Central Plains. That year, when Ji Yufei had just started out, he was ambushed by Beitang Ao and Dongfang Long from the Beitang clan on his way from the eastern domain to the southern wasteland. He was poisoned and almost died. However, because of this, he met the Xiaoqing snake, who had yet to take human form and was still a Xiaoqing snake. That Xiaoqing snake helped Ji Yufei absorb the poison from his body and saved his life. It could be said that the Beitang clan and Ji Yufei had a grudge. Moreover, many disciples of the Beitang clan had died in the hands of Ji Yufei. Now that Ji Yufei had truly matured, the upper echelons of the Beitang clan were naturally restless. They were afraid that one day, Ji Yufei would suddenly kill his way to the Beitang clan and start a massacre. The Beitang clan had always been vigilant and paid close attention to the movements of Ji Yufei and his disciple. When Jiyu Zhong appeared on the stage, the people of the Beitang clan were truly startled. At this time, Jiyu Zhong and Zhuo Qiandao were fighting fiercely on the stage. Their fists shook the starry sky, causing the entire stage to shake. Zhuo Qiandao knew that he had met a real opponent. Buzz. The starry sky trembled, and the stars transformed into peerless sword light, slashing towards the figure in the starry sky whose entire body was emitting golden light. The extremely swift and fierce starry sword light cut through the void, displaying its supreme power. However, it was unable to hurt that guy in the slightest. Jiyu Zhong was like a golden god of war from the ancient times. His fists shattered the void and collided with the starry sword lights. The sword lights were directly crushed by his fists. Preposterous. Zhuo Qiandao gritted his teeth and unleashed the stellar sword technique with all his might. An even more powerful sword energy immediately spread out from his body. Rumble. The entire starry sky shook violently. Although it wasn't a real starry sky, it was enough to pass off as real. Stars exploded in the starry sky, turning into destructive sword lights that pierced towards Jiyu Zhong. Haha, is this all you've got? To think that you could remain undefeated for the past half a year. This is truly surprising. Jiyu Zhong laughed and said. This Zhuo Qiandao seemed to be someone with an undeserved reputation. He only had this kind of cultivation and methods. Jiyu Zhong was really curious as to how this guy was able to remain undefeated for half a year. A destructive sword light was shattered by Jiyu Zhong's fists. He was extremely powerful and directly arrived in front of Zhuo Qiandao. He stretched out his hand and directly grabbed his opponent's neck. Zhuo Qiandao was both startled and angry. He directly turned into a sword light and slashed towards Jiyu Zhong's right hand. A chilling sword energy spread out, causing the temperature of the entire world to rapidly drop. Clang! When the powerful starlight sword slashed down on Jiyu Zhong's arm, an ear-piercing sound of metal rubbing against metal rang out. Jiyu Zhong's right sleeve was instantly shredded by the sword chi. Roar! Jiyu Zhong roared. He shook his right arm and a powerful martial arts force instantly erupted from his arm, shaking off the starlight sword. There was not even a single mark on his arm. All the Saint Kings and above were extremely shocked at this scene. This Jiyu Zhong was indeed powerful. He had actually cultivated his body to such a powerful level. Swish! The sword light that was knocked away by Jiyu Zhong immediately disappeared. A figure appeared in the sky. There seemed to be a cluster of stars around him, flickering with specks of starlight. Looks like I can't kill you if I don't use my full strength. Zhuo Qiandao stared at Jiyu Zhong and coldly said. His eyes could not help but narrow and his face became extremely cold. Temph, Jiyu Zhong snorted coldly. He then took a step forward and instantly appeared before Zhuo Qiandao. He directly threw a punch at Zhuo Qiandao's face. Swish! Zhuo Qiandao turned into a sword light and shot into the sky, dodging Jiyu Zhong's punch. Afterwards, his body began to shine with specks of starlight. 9 runes of the starlight path rushed out from his body, interweaving into a simple yet profound diagram. In the next moment, countless stars actually appeared in the sky. Rays of starlight descended from the sky and were forcefully received by him, entering his body. Stars in the day! All the spectators in the distance were stunned at this scene. It was currently daytime and the sun was high up in the sky, but a cluster of stars had appeared in the sky. Rumble! Zhuo Qiandao used a great technique to attract the true power of the stars in the sky. An extremely powerful ripple of energy immediately radiated from his body. One after another, huge stars appeared around him. A total of 9 huge stars appeared around him and revolved around him. They looked like real stars. Die! Zhuo Qiandao roared furiously. His long hair fluttered in the wind as he directly used the power of the 9 stars. The 9 great stars around him immediately turned into supreme sword lights that shot towards Jiyu Zhong. These 9 sword lights were several times more powerful than his previous starlight sword lights. They could not be compared to the previous starlight sword lights. The power displayed by each sword light was enough to slash down real stars in the sky. Everyone was extremely nervous because many people were defeated by this move from Zhuo Qiandao. One had to know that the 9 great stars gathered the power of the stars. The sword lights they turned into were naturally terrifying to the extreme, causing Jiyu Zhong's heart to tremble. Roar! Jiyu Zhong roared and his fists smashed forward like 2 golden suns. Buzz! The void rumbled, and 2 of the 9 sword lights were blocked by his fists. However, the other 7 sword lights instantly slashed Jiyu Zhong's body. The extremely ferocious starry sword lights directly sent Jiyu Zhong flying. Drops of golden blood dripped down from the sky. Bam! Jiyu Zhong's back smashed into a huge stone pillar at the edge of the stage. Cracks immediately appeared on the stone pillar. If it wasn't for the protection of the immortal runes, the stone pillar would have been smashed to pieces long ago. He fell to the ground. His clothes were shredded by the opponent's sword energy. The places on his body that were struck by the sword were left with bloody marks. Temph, Jiyu Zhong's body shook. The 7 sword lights immediately rushed out from his body. The sword energy that invaded his body was immediately forced out by him. He wiped away the blood on the corner of his mouth and stared at Zhuo Qiandao who was walking towards him. One had to admit that Zhuo Qiandao's sword cultivation could be considered invincible among those at the same level. Weren't you very arrogant earlier? What about now? You can't be arrogant anymore, right? Haha, Zhuo Qiandao sneered. 9 dazzling sword lights circled around him, emitting a powerful fluctuation of starlight. These 9 sword lights were still devouring the power of the stars in the sky. Rays of starlight fell from the sky and entered the 9 sword lights. The fluctuation of sword energy from the 9 sword lights became more and more powerful. This, Xiaoqing and the others were shocked by this scene. They couldn't believe that Jiyu Zhong was really defeated. Someone was both surprised and happy to see Jiyu Zhong injured. It would be best if Zhuo Qiandao could kill Jiyu Zhong. This way, it would be the same as cutting off one of Jiyu Fei's arms. Among the spectators, there were many who had enmity with Jiyu Fei and his master. There were experts from the Western Earth Buddhist sect, the Dongfang clan, and the Beitang clan. At this time, no one noticed that a little monk with a jade-like appearance appeared in the sky with an alms bowl in his hand. He smiled while looking at the 2 figures on the stage. It's him. After Xiaoqing saw this person, he couldn't help but be startled. This little monk was none other than Ji Yufei's nemesis, little monk Fan Xiu from the Western Buddhist sect. This little monk had a harmless appearance, but he was someone that even the old turtle was wary of. His arrival caused Xiaoqing's group to become nervous. Little monk Fan Xiu's cultivation could be considered unfathomable. Even Xiaoqing and the Iron Blood Daoist knew that they were not his match. Once this little monk attacked them, they would be out of luck. Let me send you on your way. At this time, Zhuo Qiandao directly controlled the 9-star sword lights to pierce through Ji Yuzhong. This extremely powerful sword light turned into a divine rainbow that rushed forward. You want to kill me? Ji Yuzhong's eyes suddenly became as sharp as the edge of a blade. 2 rays of light shot out from his eyes, each several meters long. An extremely powerful metal elemental power erupted from his body. Facing Zhuo Qiandao's killing move, he directly channeled the Heaven Ascension secret art. His battle prowess soared and his entire body emitted a golden light that pierced through the void. What? Zhuo Qiandao was startled after sensing the sudden burst of power from Ji Yuzhong's body. It seemed that this guy didn't use his full strength earlier. Moreover, he felt that his opponent's cultivation was a bit strange, as if he was not a true heavenly king. The grand Tao of a heavenly king was not complete. How could this be? This puzzled him, but he didn't have the time to think too much because his opponent's fist was already approaching. Rumble, golden light and starlight erupted in an instant, causing the entire stage to boil. Pitch-black spatial cracks suddenly appeared like black lightning. The vast power caused cracks to appear on the ancient stage. This scene shocked all the spectators to the extreme. On the stage, the 2 experts used their full strength. This was a battle between fists and sword lights. No one knew which was stronger, the fists or the sword lights. Because the power of the sacred emperor-level Tao laws in the arena was extremely chaotic, even the sacred emperor-level existences couldn't see the situation in the arena at this time. Only the great sage-level existences could vaguely see the 2 figures in the arena. Boom. Chapter 2850. What happened? Why did both of them fall out of the arena? Everyone was in disbelief at this scene. Ji Yuzhong and Zhuo Qiandao both fell out of the arena at the same time. Who was the winner? Rumble. The arena shook violently and cracks appeared on it, as if it was about to collapse in the void. Even the immortal runes contained in the arena could not protect it at this time. Many of the spectators were Saint Kings who had fought against Zhuo Qiandao before. They were extremely shocked. The battle between the 2 had actually caused cracks to appear on the arena. This arena was not ordinary. Even a Saint King with his full strength would not be able to damage it at all. However, right now, this sturdy arena was covered in cracks. It was easy to imagine just how powerful the 2 of them were. This kind of battle prowess had definitely surpassed Saint Kings of the same level. A draw. A Saint Sovereign level existence said such words. I didn't think it would end in a draw. A few great Saint existences could already see the result of this battle. Ji Yuzhong and Zhuo Qiandao had actually ended in a draw. Neither of them could truly defeat the other. However, at this moment, the 2 powerful figures were still facing each other. The auras between the 2 were constantly rising as a powerful aura swept out in all directions. What? Do you still want to fight? Zhuo Qiandao coldly stared at Ji Yuzhong. A starry sky appeared in the void around him with twinkling specks of starlight. He seemed to have become the ruler of the starry sky. An aura so powerful that even Saint Kings would feel their hearts palpitate spread out, causing the world to lose its color. What do you think? Ji Yuzhong's entire body was shrouded in golden light. His entire body had turned into a golden man with a dazzling golden light circulating on his skin. 9 golden runes vaguely appeared on his body, giving off a feeling of being filled with power. Since victory and defeat have been decided, life and death have also been decided. Since victory and death have not been decided, let's fight. Zhuo Qiandao coldly said. A chilling killing intent radiated from his body. His gaze was as sharp as a blade as he stared at Ji Yuzhong. Very well. Ji Yuzhong nodded. This was exactly what he wanted. Kill. Zhuo Qiandao angrily roared and directly rushed towards Ji Yuzhong. The faintly discernible starry sky around him suddenly became clear. Inside the starry sky, stars began to burn, then they turned into supreme sword lights that slashed towards Ji Yuzhong. At the same time, rays of starlight shot down from the sky and directly entered Zhuo Qiandao's body, drawing the power of the stars for his own use. Ji Yuzhong didn't say anything. He directly rushed forward and fought against Zhuo Qiandao. Each of his punches was able to knock away the incoming sword lights. "We still have to fight." Someone couldn't help but mutter after seeing this scene. Even Xiaoqing and the Ironblood Daoist were surprised. A prolonged battle wouldn't do Ji Yuzhong any good. After all, he hadn't passed the heavenly tribulation and become a true saint emperor. As for Zhuo Qiandao, he was a true saint king and an invincible existence among saint kings. He had been on the stage for more than half a year and had yet to lose a single time. The two saint emperors fought their way into the starry sky. Boom! Ji Yuzhong punched out and directly shattered a star. The destructive power swept towards Zhuo Qiandao. Everywhere it passed, the void collapsed. It was incomparably terrifying. Bzz. A sword hum resounded through the sky. Zhuo Qiandao turned into an extremely powerful sword light that broke through the destructive power and instantly arrived in front of Ji Yuzhong. Ji Yuzhong quickly put his palms together and clamped down on the incoming sword light. The sword light immediately stopped, but a powerful force suddenly erupted from the sword light and knocked his hands away. Swoosh! The sword light flashed and Zhuo Qiandao directly stabbed towards Ji Yuzhong's chest. It was extremely sharp. Before the sword light reached him, a bone-piercing chill had already struck his heart. "Invincible golden body!" Ji Yuzhong furiously roared. His body shook and a ball of golden light immediately surged from his body, enveloping him within it. The sword light that was stabbing towards his chest struck Ji Yuzhong's protective astral energy and was actually blocked by it. It couldn't stab an inch deeper. Raw! Zhuo Qiandao desperately exerted his strength, but the sword light couldn't stab any deeper. It couldn't break Ji Yuzhong's protective astral energy. Scram! Ji Yuzhong threw a punch and directly sent the sword light flying. Swoosh! The sword light disappeared and a figure appeared in the void. Then, he slashed towards Ji Yuzhong. The sword light soared up as if it wanted to split the world in half. You're not the only one who knows how to play with swords," Ji Yuzhong said and waved his hand. A dazzling sword astral energy suddenly went to meet the starry sword light. Clang! The heaven-punishing sword light and the starry sword light clashed and intertwined. Clanging sounds rang out continuously as the two sword lights gradually dimmed. Heaven-punishing sword. Ji Yuzhong was extremely powerful and directly used the killing technique of the heaven-punishing sword technique. A golden sword light immediately rushed out from his hand and emitted the brightest sword light. The golden sword light's speed was extremely fast and instantly cut through Zhuo Qiandao's left arm, causing it to immediately fall off. What? Zhuo Qiandao was extremely shocked. The opponent also cultivated the sword Dao. Moreover, his sword Dao merit law was not any weaker than his starry sword technique. He only felt a sword energy invading his body and quickly destroying his vitality. While Zhuo Qiandao was still in shock, Ji Yuzhong had already taken a step forward and instantly arrived above his head. Ji Yuzhong stomped down. This was the martial path battle technique, the 8 killing steps. A powerful martial path battle technique descended from Ji Yuzhong's right foot. Bolts of lightning seemed to appear beneath his feet as destructive power erupted. Bang! Zhuo Qiandao's face was solidly kicked by Ji Yuzhong and he fell down from the sky. "I'll send you on your way." Ji Yuzhong's body swayed and turned into a dazzling sword light. It descended from the sky and pierced towards Zhuo Qiandao, who had yet to land on the ground. However, at this moment, Zhuo Qiandao's figure suddenly disappeared, causing Ji Yuzhong to be shocked. "The Great Void Technique," Ji Yuzhong muttered to himself. At this moment, a sword light silently pierced out from the void behind his head, piercing towards the back of his head. Ji Yuzhong did not even think about it. He turned around and threw a punch, sending the incoming sword light flying. "Come out." Chapter 2851. The battle between Jiyu Zhong and Zhuo Qiandao had reached its climax. Jiyu Zhong used the 9 heaven-punishing swords to cut off Zhuo Qiandao's left arm, then stomped him down from the sky. Zhuo Qiandao was enraged. He used a void technique to escape into the void and attacked Jiyu Zhong. However, Jiyu Zhong's strength had exceeded his expectations. Jiyu Zhong had nearly knocked him out of the empty space with a single palm strike from him. Swoosh! Zhuo Qiandao remained hidden in the void. Rays of starry sword lights continuously flew out from the void towards Jiyu Zhong. However, such an attack couldn't do anything to Jiyu Zhong. Jiyu Zhong waved his fists and shattered all the incoming sword rays. Void technique, I'll play with you. Jiyu Zhong smiled. After that, his silhouette disappeared as well, as though he had vanished into thin air. He entered the void, his body seemed to have fused with the surrounding void. This was one of the 9 secrets of the immortal Tao, the void reversal secret art. What? Seeing this scene, Zhuo Qiandao's shock was no small matter. Boom! The void trembled. Jiyu Zhong instantly appeared next to Zhuo Qiandao and directly punched him, knocking him out of the void. A descendant of an immortal sovereign? So this is all you can do. Jiyu Zhong was extremely domineering. He stepped out of the void and coldly stared at Zhuo Qiandao, who was rolling away. Zhuo Qiandao felt a gush of blood rushing up his throat after hearing this. He then spurted out a mouthful of blood, but he couldn't stop himself from vomiting it. Roar! Zhuo Qiandao stopped his retreat and stabilized his body. He roared towards the sky and his entire body emitted bright starlight. His left arm that was cut off by Jiyu Zhong's sword was rapidly regenerating. His flesh and bones were rapidly regenerating. Swoosh! A ray of sword light shot out from his body. It was the heaven-punishing sword qi that had invaded his body when Jiyu Zhong had chopped off his arm. He did his best to force out the heaven-punishing sword qi. His entire body withered as he coughed out blood. He had been defeated, thoroughly defeated. He had actually been defeated by the Tao of the sword. Not even in his wildest dreams did Zhuo Qiandao think that he would lose to his most powerful sword Tao. I remember you said before that we would decide victory and defeat, as well as life and death. Now that you've lost, do you want me to use it, or do you want to do it yourself? Jiyu Zhong crossed his arms and teasingly looked at Zhuo Qiandao. Zhuo Qiandao ferociously stared at Jiyu Zhong with a vicious gaze, like a poisonous snake staring at its prey. It was as if he could attack Jiyu Zhong at any moment. You don't have the qualifications to kill me. Zhuo Qiandao stared at Jiyu Zhong and gritted his teeth. Then, he soared into the sky and turned into a ray of starlight that flew towards the divine island in the sky. Jiyu Zhong didn't stop him and let Zhuo Qiandao escape. At this moment, all the spectators were shocked to the extreme. No one expected Jiyu Zhong to be able to defeat Zhuo Qiandao. One had to know that Zhuo Qiandao had set up the arena for more than half a year. Before Jiyu Zhong, no one had been able to defeat this foreign heavenly king. To be able to remain undefeated for more than half a year, this Zhuo Qiandao was definitely a great character. Unfortunately, he met Jiyu Zhong, so his fate was destined to be tragic. Very quickly, the surroundings of the arena were in an uproar. This was definitely a major event that shook the entire Central Plains. Even the great powers of the other 4 regions were alarmed. Jiyu Zhong became famous. At this moment, Xiaoqing and the Iron-Blood Daoist rushed over. After meeting up with Jiyu Zhong, they directly left this region. They didn't return to the eastern domain. About 1,000 miles away from the arena, there was a big city. This big city was called Taihao City. It was said that in the distant past, there was once a person called Taihao who came to this place and built this city. So, this city was called Taihao City. There were many shops in Taihao City. Moreover, many of them were opened to serve cultivators. If Jiyu Fei was here, he would naturally be familiar with the name Taihao. This was because Taihao was a supreme expert that came from Kunlun's ancestral star. Jiyu Fei had been to Kunlun's ancestral star before, so he naturally knew about Taihao's origin. At this time, Xiaoqing and Jiyu Zhong's group were walking on the main street of Taihao City. There were people coming and going on the street. Both sides of the street were filled with shouts. Many people were setting up stalls on the side of the street. Come and take a look. Supreme grade heavenly Chenstone is being sold at a low price. Hurry up. Phoenix egg, only selling for 50,000 kilograms of immortal crystals. Hurry up. There won't be another shop like this after this one. On the side of the street, a middle-aged man was holding a fist-sized crimson egg and selling it. What? Phoenix egg, 50,000 kilograms of immortal crystals? Jiyu Zhong's group was shocked. That was a phoenix egg. But if it was so easy to obtain, then it was most likely a scam. This heavenly Chenstone is not bad, the Iron Blood Daoist said. However, he had no intention of buying it. He already had the Phoenix Tribulation, so he didn't need to refine other weapons. Along the way, they saw quite a few roadside stalls selling extremely heaven-defying things. This was definitely impossible. Since when did godly medicines and holy medicines become things that could be found everywhere on the streets? Xiaoqing's group found an inn to stay in. At this time, the news of the defeat of a saint king had already reached Taihao City. Jiyu Zhong sat in the guest room. After his battle with Zuo Qiandao, he could feel that his heavenly tribulation would come at any time. He didn't want to undergo the tribulation in the mortal world, so he could only seal his saint king's cultivation. However, Jiyu Zhong didn't expect that Zuo Qiandao would appear again on the second day. Moreover, he went onto the stage and directly challenged Jiyu Zhong. Lord Jiyu Zhong, do you want to accept the challenge? The Iron Blood Daoist came to Jiyu Zhong's room and asked. At this time, Xiaoqing walked out of the inn and strolled around Taihao City. Haha, who does that guy think he is? Do I have to go just because he wants to challenge me? Plus, the outcome was decided yesterday, so there's no need to pay attention to him, said Jiyu Zhong. He didn't take Zuo Qiandao seriously, but there was a problem with his cultivation. If he went to fight Zuo Qiandao, he would probably attract the heavenly tribulation of a saint king. It was very disadvantageous for him to undergo the tribulation in the mortal world. If that's the case, I'll go meet that guy. The Iron Blood Daoist said. All right, go. Jiyu Zhong didn't say anything else and nodded. After that, the Iron Blood Daoist left Taihao City, and then he soared into the sky and flew towards the arena. Not long after, Xiaoqing returned. He was not very surprised when he heard that the Iron Blood Daoist went to fight. Instead, he stared at Jiyu Zhong for a long time, to the point where Jiyu Zhong felt a little embarrassed. Go to the Heaven Realm. Chapter 2852. The Heaven Realm was vast and boundless. The human clan only occupied a very small part of the Heaven Realm. The Heaven Realm was mysterious and unfathomable. There were countless secrets buried in it. Even during the Great Calamity back then, the Heaven Realm was able to survive and survive. Some people said that the Heaven Realm was the hope of the human race and all other races. Of course, this did not include the demons. It was the invasion of the demons that led to the destruction of the untainted world. The current mortal realm was far less vast than the untainted world of the past. In that era, there were many powerful races and even supremes could be seen. But now, the mortal realm was actually not a complete great world because it was only a part of a destroyed great world. The world was incomplete. Even after countless years of recuperation and evolution, it was still difficult to repair the damage caused in the past. Therefore, the ancient powers that had existed since the untainted world of the ancient times were not willing to let their disciples undergo the heavenly tribulation in the mortal realm. They had no choice but to undergo the heavenly tribulation in the mortal realm, but now that they had a choice, they were naturally more willing to undergo the heavenly tribulation in the heaven realm. Only a perfect heavenly tribulation could create a perfect heavenly king. There was no doubt that Jiyu Fei wanted to go to the heaven realm. But now, both Jiyu Fei and the old turtle were in seclusion. They were trying to figure out which step they wanted to take. This step was too important. As long as they took this step, they could soar into the sky and undergo the ultimate transformation. They could touch the legendary ultimate realm. No one knew when Jiyu Fei and the old turtle would come out of seclusion. Even Jiyu Zhong, Jiyu Fei's personal disciple, did not know. Of course, during Jiyu Fei's seclusion, one person was bored to death. That was Jiyu Ling. When the spiritual body of the mysterious creature in the heavenly ruins Forbidden Zone killed its way to Wanxiang City, she was sent into Jiyu Fei's inner world and stayed there ever since. Jiyu Fei had 3 inner worlds: the Hell Realm, the Niwen Palace between his eyebrows, the small world created by the chaotic embryo, and the divine land obtained from the god race's old ancestor. This divine land was refined into his Dantian and became his inner world. Jiyu Fei had long since had the thought of merging the 3 inner worlds, but he had never put it into action. He had some misgivings, because if he failed, the 3 inner worlds would be destroyed. Especially the Hell Dao. This inner world was originally a part of the 6 paths of reincarnation refined by the ancient Buddhist Lord. It had the greatest hidden danger. One must know that if the ancient Buddha Lord hadn't fallen, then Jiyu Fei would be in big trouble once he returned. Although Jiyu Fei's godly land was good, there was nothing fun about it. Jiyu Ling was like a king of children, and all the living beings in the godly land had been harmed by her. Even the immortal herbs in the depths of the godly land were afraid of her. They would hide from her whenever they saw her. The Meng family had become her errand boy, and Meng Long had gone crazy with her. "I don't know what's wrong with father. Why won't he let me out?" On one of the spiritual peaks, Gulling was squatting on a huge rock and muttering to herself. At this moment, in the central plains, where Zhuo Qiandao had set up his arena, there was a sea of people. Even powerful beings from other races had come. 2 powerful figures were moving quickly on the arena as they fought fiercely. "I didn't expect Jiyu Fei's subordinate to be so strong," someone said. Some people in the Central Plains knew about the Iron Blood Daoist. He was Jiyu Fei's right-hand man. This person seems to have received the inheritance of the ancient immortal Daoist. "How can he not be strong?" someone said. At this moment, on the arena, the shadow of a divine phoenix appeared on the Iron Blood Daoist's body. An extremely powerful divine phoenix aura spread from his body. In the void around him, the true fire of the divine phoenix was faintly discernible, burning the void until it was annihilated silently. The person fighting with him was naturally Zhuo Qiandao. It had to be said that Zhuo Qiandao was quite capable. He had just been defeated by Jiyu Zhong yesterday, but today, he jumped out full of energy and challenged Jiyu Zhong by name. However, Jiyu Zhong had no time to pay attention to this guy. BZZZ. The stars sword in Zhuo Qiandao's hand hummed. Rays of sword light pierced through the void and slashed at the Iron Blood Daoist. Every ray of sword light attracted the power of the stars in the sky to support it. Chumph, the Iron Blood Daoist's hands continued to form seals. This was a secret technique of the Divine Phoenix clan, known as the Immortal Divine Phoenix Seal. The terrifying power of the Divine Phoenix surged out from the seals he formed with his hands. Shadows of divine phoenixes rushed out from his hands and collided with the starry sword light that was piercing through the air. Rumble. The arena shook as the 2 Saint King powers collided. The vast and powerful ripples of power directly shook the ancient arena. The divine phoenix shadows and the rays of sword light disappeared in the void at the same time. "You're not my opponent," Zhuo Qiandao said proudly. Zhuo Qiandao proudly declared. The stellar sword in his hand emitted an even brighter sword light. An even more powerful sword energy rippled out from his long sword. "Phut, you think too highly of yourself." The Iron Blood Daoist stared at the figure that seemed to be standing in the starry sky and said coldly. However, he had to admit that this guy did have the right to be arrogant. "Call that guy Jiyu Zhong out. I'm running out of patience." Zhuo Qiandao's tone became cold. As his eyes opened and closed, a dazzling light shot out from his eyes like 2 dazzling stars. "How dare you? Do you really think you're invincible?" The Iron Blood Daoist was very displeased. Who did this guy think he was? He actually dared to look down on him. No matter how he looked at him, this guy was extremely loathsome. "Kill." The Iron Blood Daoist roared and a terrifying aura suddenly erupted from his body. 9 divine phoenix runes appeared on his body. With a sway of his body, he actually turned into a divine phoenix the size of a small mountain. Everyone who saw this was somewhat dumbfounded. Phoenix transformation art. Some of the old-timers cried out in alarm. "I didn't think that he would actually cultivate the phoenix transformation art." Someone exclaimed. The Phoenix transformation art was the most powerful art of the Divine Phoenix clan. It allowed one to transform into a divine phoenix and display some of the power of the divine phoenix ancestor. At this moment, an endless amount of divine phoenix true fire surged from the body of the divine phoenix and instantly engulfed Zhuo Qiandao's figure. The true fire directly swept across the arena and burned half of the sky. Chapter 28:53. Hum. Up in the sky, the stars trembled. Boundless starlight rained down from the heavens, entering the silhouette under the starry sky. An extremely powerful astral energy spread out from the silhouette. The power of the cosmic stars. Someone saw the clues and stared at the starry sky above. Above the starry sky, there were 365 stars that had become especially bright. Kill. Endless starlight sprinkled down, and star-like Tao patterns rushed out from that figure, imprinting into the void. 365 specks of starlight appeared around that person, resonating with the 365 real stars in the sky. Rumble. Zhuo Qiandao used the power of the cosmic stars to suppress the divine phoenix below the arena. The terrifying destructive power obliterated the void and the chaotic air was shaken out. A phoenix cry was heard. The divine phoenix on the arena soared into the sky and rushed towards Zhuo Qiandao. Clang. The divine phoenix flapped its golden wings and soared into the sky. They turned into supreme sword lights that slashed towards Zhuo Qiandao. Each of the sword lights had the divine phoenix Tao runes and emitted a terrifying divine phoenix aura. Everyone was stunned by the scene in front of them. This was a battle between the power of the divine phoenix and the power of the stars. This was a huge collision. The power of the divine phoenix was unyielding and indestructible, but it was blocked by the power of the cosmic stars. The starlight intertwined to form a diagram. A formation. I can't believe someone in this world still knows about the lost cosmic stars formation. Formations like this had long since been lost in the ancient era. According to the legends, the all-heaven star formation had been created by a personal disciple of one of the paragons of the immortal Tao, the Supreme Tao Father. During the dark times of the late primordial era, countless cultivators fell during the Great Calamity. Even the disciple of the Supreme Tao ancestor was no exception. Some people saw the disciple of the Supreme Tao ancestor die in battle under the starry sky. His blood dyed the entire sky red. Of course, some people said that the disciple of the Supreme Tao ancestor would not die so easily. The 9 secrets of the immortal Tao were not to be trifled with. It would be difficult to die even if one wanted to. However, the might of the great heavenly cycle stellar formation was not small. It drew upon the power of the entire starry sky for its own use. Rumble. Pitch-black spatial cracks spread out in all directions like black lightning. Each crack was as big as a mountain, and a terrifying aura spread out from them. The Iron-Blood Daoist and Zhuo Qiandao both used their full power without holding anything back. The stars in the sky trembled as their power crazily gathered towards Zhuo Qiandao. Go to hell! Zhuo Qiandao angrily roared as countless star runes rushed out from his body. It was as if he had turned into a real star that emitted the most dazzling starlight and suppressed the phoenix below. You don't have the qualifications to kill me. The Iron-Blood Daoist's voice rang out amidst the 1,000 layers of true flames of the divine phoenix. The true flames of the divine phoenix burned half the sky red, and even the saints watching from afar could feel the waves of heat. It was as if the essence in their bodies were about to be ignited. What a terrifying true phoenix flame! Some of the saints found it hard to resist and quickly retreated. At this moment, the real phoenix flapped its wings and directly charged towards the star that was pressing down from the sky. This was an incomparably shocking scene. Boom! With a loud bang, the divine phoenix and the star instantly collided. The entire world trembled as if the sky was about to collapse. Zhuo Qiandao's heavenly cycle stellar formation exploded while the Iron-Blood Daoist's divine phoenix also dissipated in the void. 2 figures were sent flying. Even the ancient arena was sent flying, and the divine light emitted by the arena dimmed. Wow! The Iron-Blood Daoist barely managed to stabilize himself after flying for more than 10,000 feet. Then, he felt a sweetness in his throat as he spat out a mouthful of blood. There was a cracking sound as the power of the stars exploded in his body. In just an instant, he didn't know how many bones in his body had cracked. Preposterous. The Iron Blood Daoist's body emitted a fiery light as if a divine phoenix was being reborn from the fire. The sound of bones rubbing against each other came from his body as the power of the stars rushed out and dissipated in the void. His wounded body was instantly healed. Zhuo Qiandao didn't have it easy either. He was also blown away for 10,000 feet. His body was penetrated by 9 sword rays. His hair was disheveled and he spat out blood in an extremely embarrassing manner. Draw. Everyone was shocked after seeing this scene. It was truly hard to imagine that Zhuo Qiandao had set up this arena for half a year. Not only could no one defeat him, but no one could even draw with him. How is this possible? Zhuo Qiandao gritted his teeth and said. His expression was extremely ferocious as blood seeped out of his eyes, ears, mouth, and nose. This was truly bleeding from all 7 orifices. You dare to call yourself unbeatable in the same realm with just this little ability? Bah! The Iron Blood Daoist coldly said. Zhuo Qiandao sneered. 9-star inscriptions appeared on his body and attracted the power of the stars in the sky. 9 sword rays immediately rushed out of his body. The sword chi that had entered his body was forced out by the power of the stars. The 9 bloody holes on his body healed at a visible rate. A shocking battle intent erupted from his body. He still wanted to fight. However, at this moment, a fiery light descended from the sky and landed in the Iron Blood Daoist's hand. It was a communication talisman. Yeah. The Iron Blood Daoist's expression changed after reading the information on the talisman. He then said to Zhuo Qiandao, I'll fight you to the death next time. With that, the Iron Blood Daoist directly shot into the sky and disappeared into the distance. Zhuo Qiandao wanted to stop the Iron Blood Daoist, but he was just too fast. A divine phoenix could travel 100,000 kilometers in an instant. This was not just a legend. Although the Iron Blood Daoist was not a true divine phoenix and could not travel 100,000 kilometers in an instant, there were not many Saint Kings that could catch up to him at the same level. At the same time, Jiyu Zhong had already announced that he wanted to fight Zhuo Qiandao in the Heaven Realm. He would also set up a stage in the Heaven Realm and wait for Zhuo Qiandao's arrival. Jiyu Zhong told Zhuo Qiandao that he could go to the Heaven Realm if he had the guts. As long as Zhuo Qiandao dared to come, he would definitely beat the crap out of him. Afterwards, when the Iron Blood Daoist returned to Taihao City, Jiyu Zhong's group directly used the teleportation formation in the city to return to Wanxiang City. They were preparing to go to the Heaven Realm. Although Jiyu Zhong had seen many things with Jiyu Fei, he still couldn't help but feel nervous at this time. Heaven Realm. Chapter 2854. Inside the City Lord's mansion of Wanxiang City, the upper echelons of the city gathered in the main hall. Jiyu Zhong and Xiaoqing left Wanxiang City for the Sky Market after giving some instructions. Everyone was shocked. Why did Jiyu Zhong and Xiaoqing want to go to the Heavenly Realm at this time? However, they soon found out the reason from the Iron Blood Daoist. Jiyu Zhong was undergoing the Heavenly King tribulation. Jiyu Zhong was a prideful man and naturally did not want to undergo the tribulation in the mortal realm. Tribulation in the Heavenly Realm? The Heavenly Saint of the Heaven, Earth, and mortal saints said thoughtfully. Lord Jiyu Zhong is going to undergo the tribulation in the Heavenly Realm? Zhuge Liang and the others were shocked. They had heard that the success rate of undergoing the tribulation in the Heavenly Realm was very low. The Heavenly Tribulation in the Heavenly Realm was extremely powerful. Very few people could succeed and most of them would die under the tribulation. Compared to the Heavenly Realm, the success rate of undergoing the tribulation in the mortal realm was much higher. Zhuge Liang and the others' cultivation had not reached that level yet. Thus, they did not know the difference between undergoing the tribulation in the mortal realm and the heavenly realm. Only the saint-level existences would know. Jiyu Zhong's heart is higher than the sky. Someone sighed in the main hall. Not long after Jiyu Zhong and Little Qing left, the higher-ups of Wanxiang City that were gathered in the main hall of the City Lord's mansion also dispersed and went to do whatever they needed to do. Soon, the news of Jiyu Zhong ascending to the Heaven Realm spread. Just as Jiyu Zhong and Little Qing were about to head to the sky market and step onto the ancient path to heavens, in the central plains, on a divine island floating high in the sky, two people were sitting at a stone table in a pavilion. Both of them were young men, but anyone could tell who was the master and who was the servant with just a glance. "Master, I didn't expect you to come so fast." One of the young men in the pavilion spoke to the other in a respectful tone. "What happened? I heard that you were defeated by someone called Jiyu Zhong. That Jiyu Zhong is also the disciple of Jiyu Fei, right?" The young man said indifferently. At this moment, Zhuo Qiandao's forehead was covered in sweat. He did not even dare to breathe heavily in front of this young man. The only person who could make Zhuo Qiandao fearful was the South Pole Immortal Sovereign from the South Pole Divine Sea on the Biyuju Ancestral Star. South Pole Immortal Venerable personally departed from the Biyuju Ancestral Star and arrived at the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star. What made South Pole Immortal Venerable depressed was that his good disciple was actually defeated by Jiyu Fei's disciple. This was hard for him to accept. "Yes." Zhuo Qiandao nodded. "Then why don't you scram to the heaven realm and bring Jiyu Zhong's head back to me?" South Pole Immortal Venerable said. His tone was very calm. He already knew what happened earlier, including Jiyu Zhong's words. "Yes, Master." Zhuo Qiandao quickly accepted the order and left the hall. Very quickly, Zhuo Qiandao left the Divine Island and headed towards the Eastern Domain. If he wanted to go to the Heaven World, he had to go to the Eastern Domain, enter the Sky Ruins and step on the ancient Heaven Road. While Zhuo Qiandao was heading towards the Eastern Domain, Jiyu Zhong and Xiaoqing had already set foot on the ancient Heaven Road. At this time, Jiyu Fei and the old tortoise were in seclusion. However, there was a checkpoint at the exit of the ancient Heaven Road. There were still people collecting the fees to enter the Heaven Realm. The reason why the Heaven Realm demons still dared to do this and were not afraid of the public's wrath was because although the old turtle was not in the Heaven Realm, there was an unimaginably powerful being guarding the Demon Lord's palace in the sky above the western underworld sea. "Master Qing, you're back." When Little Qing and Jiyu Zhong walked out of the ancient road to heaven, the two demon race experts guarding the checkpoint saw Little Qing and immediately went forward to pay their respects. "Yes, did anything happen here recently?" Xiaoqing nodded and asked. "With the old ancestor guarding this place, no one dares to be presumptuous." A middle-aged man among the two demon race experts said. "That's for the best," Little Qing said. Then, he encouraged the two demon race experts and soared into the sky with Jiyu Zhong. They landed on an island floating in the sky. This was a divine island with enchanting scenery. There were pavilions dotting the mountains, making it look like a fairyland. Xiaoqing brought Jiyu Zhong to the depths of the divine island to pay a visit to the old ancestor of the demon race. However, the old ancestor happened to be out. They settled down on the divine island first. At this time, the heaven realm was in chaos just like the mortal realm. Something big happened in the eastern earth of the heaven realm. Some people saw the ancient heavenly emperor's figure in the eastern earth. In a short period of time, the atmosphere of the entire eastern earth became extremely tense. One should know that the eastern earth was originally the ancient heavenly emperor's territory. However, it had now become the territory of the demon race and the nether sect. Some people thought that the ancient heavenly emperor had been preparing in secret for a long time and that it was time to take back what he had lost. However, others thought that if the ancient heavenly emperor dared to provoke the demon race of the heaven realm, he would be digging his own grave. One should know that the demon lord even dared to attack the forbidden regions. However, the first place in the heaven realm to become chaotic was somewhat unexpected. That was because that place was the snow region, a somewhat special place. Even the people from the immortal domain's immortal palace couldn't intimidate those powerful existences. Especially when the prison realm collapsed, countless great omens escaped. These great omens became the fuse of the war in the snow domain. In a short period of time, the snow domain became the most eye-catching place in the heaven realm. Of course, whether the heaven realm was in chaos or not had nothing to do with Jiyu Zhong. He was going to the heaven realm to undergo his heavenly king tribulation. He was very confident that he could succeed. However, he didn't forget that he still had a battle with Zhuo Qiandao. He was waiting for Zhuo Qiandao. When Zhuo Qiandao stepped on the ancient road to heaven and entered the heaven realm, Ji Yuzhong announced that he wanted to challenge Zhuo Qiandao. At this time, the old ancestor of the divine island finally returned. Xiaoqing and Ji Yuzhong quickly went to greet him. Then, Ji Yuzhong set up an arena in the West Dark Sea, an arena that only Zhuo Qiandao and the others could enter. When Zhuo Qiandao heard the news, he was so angry that he almost vomited blood. This Ji Yuzhong was too hateful. Did he want the entire heaven realm to know that he had lost to him? Zhuo Qiandao was a proud and arrogant person, so he cared a lot about gossip. He directly went to find them and then went up the stage to challenge Ji Yuzhong. Swoosh! The moment Zhuo Qiandao stepped onto the stage, Ji Yuzhong also descended from the sky and landed on the stage. Zhuo Qiandao was a proud and arrogant person, so he cared a lot about gossip. He directly went to find them and then went up the stage to challenge Ji Yuzhong. Swoosh! Chapter 2855. Ji Yuzhong had set up an arena in the western mysterious ocean and waited for Zhuo Qiandao's arrival. Unexpectedly, Zhuo Qiandao actually came and directly stepped onto the arena. I have to say, you are really courageous. On the arena, Ji Yuzhong looked at Zhuo Qiandao and said indifferently. He didn't think that Zhuo Qiandao would really come. Could it be that he had absolute confidence in winning? Less nonsense, let's begin. Zhuo Qiandao's entire body was filled with murderous intent. He stared at Ji Yuzhong and a layer of blood-red light appeared in his eyes as if he was about to fall into a state of madness. Very well, since you want to reincarnate as soon as possible, I will grant your wish. No, if you lose, you won't even have the chance to reincarnate. The corner of Ji Yuzhong's mouth curled into a disdainful sneer. At this moment, countless experts had gathered in the western mysterious ocean. People from various regions of the heaven realm had arrived. One should know that the news of Ji Yuzhong setting up an arena had already spread. Of course, Ji Yuzhong was not bored enough to set up an arena to accept everyone's challenge. He only did it for Zhuo Qiandao. Just as the battle was about to erupt, an old man stood on the divine island high up in the sky. He was looking down from the sky. Ji Yufei's disciple, interesting. The old man smiled. His voice was very old. In fact, not many people in the heaven realm knew that Ji Yuzhong was Ji Yufei's disciple. Boom! At this moment, a great star rushed out from Zhuo Qiandao's head and emitted a myriad of starlight. A powerful heavenly king's aura spread out from the star. Star Grand Dao. Someone exclaimed. It was very rare to see someone cultivating this Grand Dao. It was no wonder that someone would be shocked when a Star Saint King appeared at this moment. Ji Yuzhong, I will kill you this time. Zhuo Qiandao coldly said. He stared at Ji Yuzhong with a cold and ruthless gaze, like a poisonous snake staring at its prey. Haha, let's see if you have the ability to do so. Ji Yuzhong laughed. Since this guy dared to come to the heaven realm to fight, he must have something to rely on. However, Ji Yuzhong also had something to rely on. Kill. Zhuo Qiandao angrily roared and stomped on the ground. His entire body turned into a bright ray of light that pierced towards Ji Yuzhong. At the same time, the big star above his head also turned into a frightening sword ray that descended from the sky and slashed towards Ji Yuzhong. One hand covering the sky. Ji Yuzhong extended his right hand and unleashed the heaven-shrouding hand. A huge golden hand immediately appeared in the void and pressed forward. Buzz. Ji Yuzhong's right hand collided with Zhuo Qiandao's starlight sword energy and directly stopped this sword light. What? Zhuo Qiandao was shocked to the extreme. It was as if his sword energy had collided with an immortal divine iron and almost injured himself. At the same time, Ji Yuzhong's heaven-shrouding hand collided with the sword light that pierced down from the sky. Two extremely powerful forces clashed and the entire sky was drowned by countless Dao runes. The heaven-covering hand blocked the starlight sword chi, and the sword chi exploded. Streaks of starlight Dao patterns were imprinted in the void, turning into a peerless sword light that pierced through the void. Even the chaotic aura was struck out. However, regardless of how sharp and powerful the sword light formed from the starlight Dao markings were, Ji Yuzhong's heaven-covering hand was like an insurmountable mountain that blocked all of the sword light. I haven't seen you for a few days and your cultivation seems to have improved quite a bit. Ji Yuzhong said. His entire body was emitting a golden light. Golden Dao runes faintly appeared and interweaved on his body. He was like a golden god of war that came from the primordial era, extremely powerful. You're not bad yourself. Within the sword light that Ji Yuzhong's right hand blocked, there was a vague figure that was faintly discernible. That figure emitted a shocking murderous intent. At this moment, Ji Yuzhong's gigantic hand that blotted out the sky above the stage came crashing down like a mountain, completely obliterating the starlight sword chi. I gave you a bit of sunshine and you're dazzling. I'm just messing with you. Haha. Ji Yuzhong laughed heartily and shook his right hand. 9 golden patterns of the way immediately emerged from his palm. With a bang, the power of the great path erupted and directly sent the sword light flying. Zhuo Qiandao was extremely shocked. His figure directly appeared on the arena and fiercely stared at Ji Yuzhong. His cultivation had improved a lot, but he was still not a match for this guy. After Zhuo Qiandao was defeated by Ji Yuzhong, the South Pole Immortal Venerable forcefully helped Zhuo Qiandao increase his cultivation. At this moment, Zhuo Qiandao was only half a step away from the Great Saint Realm. However, Zhuo Qiandao realized that he had underestimated Ji Yuzhong. I already said that you came to die. Sigh, there are still people who are so stupid in this era. What a weirdo. Ji Yuzhong ridiculed. Preposterous. I'll fight you to the death. Zhuo Qiandao was enraged. He gritted his teeth and 9 balls of starlight immediately rushed out from his body. Within each ball of starlight, there was a star that was radiating dazzling starlight. 9 waves of supreme starlight surged out from the 9 balls of starlight. That is, even Ji Yuzhong's heart shook when he sensed the terrifying fluctuations emanating from the 9 balls of starlight, and he was extremely shocked. A real star? Ji Yuzhong's pupils shrank when he saw this scene. The 9 balls of starlight were extraordinary. They were real stars that were refined into fist-sized balls. The power of the stars contained in each ball of starlight was unimaginably powerful. Once Zhuo Qiandao fused with the 9 balls of starlight, his battle strength would definitely soar to an unimaginable level. However, Ji Yuzhong did not stop him. He was also very curious. He wanted to see to what extent this guy could increase his battle strength. Swoosh. The 9 balls of starlight instantly entered Zhuo Qiandao's forehead. In the next second, his body emitted an endless amount of starlight. 9 powerful star runes emerged from his forehead and interweaved into a mysterious star diagram. His divine soul, even his flesh, blood, tendons, and bones seemed to be ignited by sparks. A destructive aura spread out from his body. He's really going to risk his life. Ji Yuzhong suddenly felt a sense of trepidation. It was as if Zhuo Qiandao had become a completely different person in this instant. At this time, all the experts watching from afar were extremely shocked. Some of them noticed something and couldn't help but change their expressions. This person actually fused 9 real stars with his soul. This was too crazy. The power of 9 stars was indeed very powerful. Zhuo Qiandao's expression was ferocious as he held his head and roared in pain. However, he quickly stopped and lifted his head to glare at Ji Yuzhong like a wounded beast. Ji Yuzhong was startled by Zhuo Qiandao's appearance. His face was full of blue veins that spread outwards from the center of his forehead. His eyes became blood red with a hint of madness and ferocity. Roar! Zhuo Qiandao roared towards the sky. An extremely violent aura erupted from his body, causing the entire arena to shake. Runes emerged one after another. Swoosh! In the next moment, Zhuo Qiandao directly pounced towards Ji Yuzhong and instantly arrived in front of him. He opened his mouth and spat out an extremely sharp sword light that directly pierced through Ji Yuzhong's face. Ji Yuzhong was startled. The opponent's speed was too fast, so fast that he didn't have time to dodge. He could only unleash a punch that collided with the sword light. Clang! The sound of metal clashing rang out. Ji Yuzhong felt a sharp pain in his hand as a chilling sword chi invaded his arm. Thump, thump, thump. Ji Yuzhong couldn't help but take 5 or 6 steps back. He looked down and saw that his right fist was cut open by the opponent's sword energy. Golden blood seeped out from the wound. So powerful. Jiyu Zhong was shocked. After the opponent merged with the 9 starlight balls, his battle prowess had indeed increased to a level that even he was shocked. What kind of secret art was this? Kill. Zhuo Qiandao seemed to have fallen into madness. He directly grabbed the sword light and swept it towards Jiyu Zhong's waist. The brilliant sword light directly cut through the void. I'm afraid you have teeth and will bite me. Jiyu Zhong's body shook and the power of his martial body burst forth. An even more powerful martial path energy spread out from his body. Swoosh. Jiyu Zhong soared up into the sky and dodged Zhuo Qiandao's sword. Then, he stomped down on Zhuo Qiandao with a destructive force that wanted to obliterate him. Zhuo Qiandao reached out with his left hand and directly broke through the destructive force. He then grabbed Jiyu Zhong's right leg. What? Jiyu Zhong's shock was not small at all. Zhuo Qiandao roared and directly lifted Jiyu Zhong's leg and fiercely smashed it to the ground. Bang! The arena shook, and cracks appeared on the surface of the arena. This little guy is a bit strange. Up in the sky, the ancestor's eyes lit up after seeing this. With his vision, he naturally saw through Zhuo Qiandao. Zhuo Qiandao grabbed Jiyu Zhong's leg and crazily smashed it a dozen times. The ground cracked and the entire arena cracked as if it could collapse at any time. Enough! Jiyu Zhong roared and a powerful ripple of energy erupted from his body. He used one of the 9 secrets of the immortal path, the Heaven Ascension secret art. His battle prowess instantly soared and he directly broke free. One sword to kill the heavens. Jiyu Zhong was both shocked and angry at the same time. He directly pointed forward with one finger. An extremely sharp sword light immediately rushed out from his finger and directly pierced towards Zhuo Qiandao. Pluff. Chapter 2856. The West Nether Sea was originally a forbidden area in the extreme west of the Heaven Realm. Ever since the old turtle and Jiyu Fei worked together to destroy it, this place became very lively because it was the only path between the Heaven Realm and the Mortal Realm. Of course, the old turtle had set up a checkpoint at the entrance of the ancient path. Cultivators entering and exiting the Heaven Realm had to pay a fee, 10 divine medicines or 10 immortal crystals. It was the same for cultivators from the Mortal Realm. If you didn't pay the fee, then I'm sorry, please return home. Some people had tried to force their way in, but they were easily defeated by the experts of the Heavenly Realm. They were even killed on the spot and died. There was nothing much to say. In the cultivation world, the strong preyed on the weak. If the cultivators were strong enough to kill the experts of the demon race, the Heaven Realm's demon race would have nothing to say. In fact, not many people dared to do so because they knew that an ancestor-level existence of the demon race was sitting on the divine island above the West Nether Sea. Even the old turtle, the son of the Tai Huang, had to consider himself as a junior in front of this person. On this day, the West Nether Sea was much livelier than usual. Countless cultivators rushed in from outside the West Nether Sea just to watch the battle. Very quickly, the news of Jiyu Fei's disciple fighting with someone spread. Very few people in the Heaven Realm knew about Jiyu Zhong, but almost everyone knew about Jiyu Fei. This was because Jiyu Fei's achievements in the Heaven Realm had already spread across the entire Heaven Realm. In the cultivation world, if someone said that they knew someone called Jiyu Fei, then that person would be too far behind. When the news spread to the mortal world, the cultivation world of the mortal world was in an uproar. In just a short period of time, the ancient Heaven Ascension Road was packed with people. Many people and even powerful beings from other races were rushing towards the ancient Heaven Path. Many of them were willing to pay 10 divine medicines or 10 immortal crystals to enter the Heaven Realm to watch the battle. At this time, the happiest ones were the experts of the demon race guarding the ancient path. Today, they received so many divine medicines that their hands were sore and the immortal crystals were piled up like a mountain. Rumble, the arena shook. At this moment, Jiyu Zhong and Zhuo Qiandao were fighting fiercely on the arena. Blood splashed all over the arena. Zhuo Qiandao had fused the power of the 9 stars into his body and stimulated all of his potential, causing his battle strength to soar to the point that Jiyu Zhong had no choice but to use the Heaven Ascension secret technique. 2 silhouettes were moving rapidly on the arena, and countless Tao patterns were faintly discernible in the void. Bang! Jiyu Zhong's fist landed on Zhuo Qiandao's shoulder. Crack! Zhuo Qiandao's shoulder was immediately shattered by this fist. However, the moment Zhuo Qiandao was blown away by Jiyu Zhong's punch, a ray of starlight sword energy instantly left a bloody mark on Jiyu Zhong's body. A strand of golden blood seeped out from the wound. Humph! Jiyu Zhonghu's body trembled, and the sword qi that had invaded his body was immediately forced out by him. The next moment, the sword wound on his body rapidly healed and disappeared. His blood energy was vigorous to the extreme. The powerful blood energy that rushed out from the top of his head caused the stars in the sky to tremble as if it could fall down at any time. Jiyu Zhong was extremely domineering as he took large strides forward. With every step he took, the entire arena shook, and more cracks appeared on the arena. How can this be? How can you be so powerful? Impossible. Zhuo Qiandao couldn't believe it. He fell to the ground and spurted out a mouthful of blood. However, in the next moment, his shoulder that was shattered by Jiyu Zhong's fist also healed in an instant. At this level of cultivation, no matter what kind of damage the body suffered, it could be instantly healed. Even if it was smashed into pieces, as long as there was a drop of true blood, it could be reconstructed. Jiyu Zhong cultivated the martial Tao, and he was a martial saint king. His martial physique was unbelievably powerful and almost indestructible. Nothing is impossible. Jiyu Zhong sneered and continued to press towards Zhuo Qiandao. His aura constantly increased and the surrounding space became extremely unstable under the impact of the powerful pressure. Pitch-black spatial cracks constantly appeared. Kill. 9 stars return to 1, annihilate the world. Zhuo Qiandao furiously roared and attacked with all of his strength. The star map on his forehead lit up and 9 specks of starlight emerged. In the blink of an eye, they fused together and turned into an immortal ray of starlight that directly pierced towards Jiyu Zhong. The supreme power of the stars erupted as the ray of starlight displayed a terrifying might. Wherever the starlight passed, the space was directly annihilated and everything was slashed into nothingness. Jiyu Zhong's heart trembled. He stomped on the ground and turned into a golden ray of light that shot into the sky. However, it was useless even with his extreme speed. The ray of starlight was just too fast, so fast that even he couldn't dodge it. Puff! A golden flower of blood suddenly appeared on Jiyu Zhong's body. The immortal ray of starlight directly pierced through his Saint King martial physique, causing him to be extremely shocked. However, what shocked him even more was that the ray of starlight actually contained a type of destructive energy, and this destructive energy could actually annihilate the vitality within his body. His flesh, tendons, and bones, all of his vitality was constantly being destroyed. Jiyu Zhong couldn't believe this. He lowered his head and saw that the place where the starlight pierced through had turned into a deathly grey color. The deathly grey color was spreading out from the spot where the starlight pierced through to the other parts of Jiyu Zhong's body. What a terrifying, annihilating starlight. Jiyu Zhong couldn't help but be astonished. Haha, Jiyu Zhong, you're dead for sure. At this time, Zhuo Qiandao crazily laughed. None of the people injured by his annihilating starlight had survived until now. However, every time he used this secret art, his vitality would be greatly injured. This was the price. Even if Zhuo Qiandao could defeat Jiyu Zhong, he would still suffer from the backlash of the starlight. Not to mention, it was hard to say whether he could defeat Jiyu Zhong or not. Crap. When Jiyu Zhong's martial body was pierced by Zhuo Qiandao's annihilating starlight, the old ancestor of the demon race on the divine island in the sky was shocked. Could it be that this star physique is that person's descendant? The old man muttered to himself. He could already see the abnormality of Jiyu Zhong's body. His vitality was constantly being destroyed, causing him to be shocked. Jiyu Zhong was the eldest disciple of Jiyu Fei. If he were to die here, it wouldn't be a good thing for the demon race of the heaven world. Just when the old man was thinking about whether he should help Jiyu Zhong or not, he suddenly realized that Jiyu Zhong's body was emitting an unfathomable aura. Then, the destructive power in Jiyu Zhong's body was being destroyed by this power. What, this is? Chapter 2857. 9 Secrets of the Immortal Tao, Secret of Nihility. The old man was extremely shocked. This secret art that had been lost since the ancient times had reappeared in Ji Yuzhong's body. He found this hard to believe. He was the ancestor of the demon race, an existence from the same generation as the Grand King. He had lived for countless years, so his knowledge was naturally extraordinary. While the old man was shocked, Ji Yuzhong's life force flourished once again. His blood surged into the sky and actually extinguished the terrifying destructive energy that had invaded his body. What? How is this possible? Zhuo Qiandao sensed the change in Ji Yuzhong's presence and couldn't help but be shocked. There was actually someone in this world who could survive after his starlight of extinction had penetrated their body. I've already said that nothing is impossible in this world. Ji Yuzhong was already close to Zhuo Qiandao. Then, he directly punched towards Zhuo Qiandao. An extremely ferocious fist force erupted from his right fist. Millions of golden rays bloomed as if a golden sun had suddenly appeared in the world. An invincible fist intent radiated from Ji Yuzhong's body. It was indomitable and unstoppable. Bam! Zhuo Qiandao could only take it head-on and was directly blown out of the arena by Ji Yuzhong's fist. His arms were bent in a strange manner. Clearly, the bones in his arms were broken. I don't believe that I can't kill you. Zhuo Qiandao angrily roared as he charged back from outside the arena. Rays of destructive starlight constantly shot out from his forehead and pierced towards Ji Yuzhong. Haha, you have no choice but to believe it because you really can't kill me. Ji Yuzhong laughed and punched out. His fists were wide open and actually shattered the rays of destructive starlight. He then pressed towards Zhuo Qiandao with great force. Zhuo Qiandao desperately channeled his 9-star great art, but he could no longer gain any advantage at this time. The starlight of extinction was actually shattered by the opponent's fists. This was unbelievable to Zhuo Qiandao. His 9-star great art was personally taught by the South Pole Immortal Sovereign. Its power was unimaginable. Ordinary heavenly kings were not Zhuo Qiandao's opponent. Even peak heavenly kings would have to suffer when Zhuo Qiandao used his 9-star great art. Zhuo Qiandao indeed had the battle prowess to be undefeatable in the same realm, but unfortunately, his opponent was Ji Yuzhong. Boom! After a muffled sound, a golden light spread out on the stage. Zhuo Qiandao was directly blown away while coughing up blood. He was unwilling to accept this. His battle strength had been raised to the limit, but he still couldn't kill his opponent. The legend of a martial artist being invincible among his peers, could it really not be broken? That person is going to be unlucky, someone said. There was no more suspense in this battle. Seems like I overestimated you. Sigh. Ji Yuzhong said. This fellow was still not a match for him. This meant that the trump card he had prepared was useless, causing him to feel somewhat disappointed. The stronger a cultivator was, the stronger they would become. Ji Yuzhong hoped that his opponent would be able to fight endlessly with him and fight to his heart's content. This Zhuo Qiandao was still a bit lacking. Shua! The heaven-punishing sword light rushed out from Ji Yuzhong's hands and directly pierced through Zhuo Qiandao. This was the sword Dao of extinction that could destroy the void of the world. It was countless times more powerful than Zhuo Qiandao's starlight of extinction. Zhuo Qiandao's life force was constantly being destroyed by the heaven-punishing sword light. He heavily slammed into the stage while continuously coughing up blood. The star diagram on his forehead was still operating. The violent power of the stars was vast and mighty. The power of the 9 stars seemed to be going out of control. I will take you down with me. Zhuo Qiandao roared and crawled up from the ground. He was like a crazy heavenly beast as he directly pounced towards Ji Yuzhong. 9 starlights emerged on his body, erupting with extremely chaotic fluctuations of the power of the stars. You want to self-destruct? Do you think you can die with me like this? Don't be stupid, haha. Ji Yuzhong burst out in laughter. At the same time, he used his extreme speed of 8 steps to quickly retreat. At the same time, rays of golden sword energy rushed out from his body and interweaved into a net of swords that flew straight towards Zhuo Qiandao. Die for me! Zhuo Qiandao crazily roared. The star diagram on his forehead flew up. In the next second, His eyes lost their luster and he fell to the ground without making a sound. At this time, the star diagram that rushed out from Zhuo Qiandao's forehead quickly enlarged. A figure sat in the middle of the diagram. It was Zhuo Qiandao's origin spirit. 9 stars revolved around Zhuo Qiandao's primordial spirit and emitted an extremely powerful star power. He really wants to die with me? Ji Yuzhong was startled, but he didn't panic in the face of the murderous star diagram. Instead, his battle intent surged. A golden light shot out from the center of his brows, as if a divine eye was about to open. It's still the 9 secrets of the immortal Tao. Could it be that little guy Ji Yufei has obtained all 9 secrets of the immortal Tao? The old man on the divine island murmured to himself after seeing this. Since the ancient times, no one had been able to gather all 9 secrets of the immortal Tao. This was because the supreme Tao ancestor had created these 9 secret arts and taught them to his 9 disciples. Each disciple would only be taught 1 secret art. Therefore, other than the supreme Tao ancestor who had mastered all 9 secrets of the immortal Tao, no one else in this world could master all 9 secret arts at the same time. At this time, Zhuo Qiandao's origin spirit controlled the star diagram and directly suppressed Ji Yuzhong's head. A destructive star power surged from the star diagram and sealed this part of the void. All the living beings in the distance were extremely shocked. They didn't think that the expert fighting against Ji Yuzhong would want to die with him. This guy is crazy, someone said. Zhuo Qiandao was forced to this state by Ji Yuzhong. An expert from the mortal world murmured. Zhuo Qiandao set up an arena in the middle earth of the human world and challenged all the heavenly kings of the human world. In just half a year, he had truly become invincible among his peers and defeated countless heavenly kings. It wasn't until Ji Yuzhong went to the Middle Earth and challenged Zhuo Qiandao that Zhuo Qiandao's legend of being invincible within the same realm ended and he was trampled down from his pedestal. Swish! An extremely resplendent ray of golden light shot out from the center of Ji Yuzhong's eyebrows. A supreme power of the world radiated from the ray of light. It turned into a sword and instantly charged into the sky. It directly broke through the layers of destructive power from the star atlas and pierced through Zhuo Qiandao's soul in an instant. What? Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. I refuse to accept this. Chapter 2858. A ray of sword light shot out from Ji Yuzhong's forehead and directly destroyed Zhuo Qiandao's primordial spirit. This shocked everyone to the extreme. How is this possible? An old man from the heaven realm exclaimed. All of this was too unbelievable. Could this be the supreme secret art of the legends? Primordial spirit sword of the Taos. High up in the sky, on the divine island, the old ancestor of the heaven realm demonic race spoke these words. He saw through Ji Yuzhong's true strength and recognized this supreme immortal Tao secret technique. Only this secret art could instantly destroy Zhuo Qiandao's primordial spirit and kill him. I already said that you came to die. Sigh. On the stage, Ji Yuzhong sighed and shook his head. You, in the sky, Xiaoqing was speechless after seeing this scene. Ji Yuzhong was just showing off after gaining an advantage. However, as soon as Ji Yuzhong left the arena, he suddenly felt his hair stand on end. Goosebumps appeared all over his body. Without hesitation, he took a step to the right and instantly moved more than 10 meters away. At the same time, a ray of immortal light silently descended from the sky and directly pierced through the place where Ji Yuzhong originally stood. Even the arena was pierced by this ray of immortal light. Who is it? Ji Yuzhong broke out in a cold sweat. If it wasn't for his abnormal reaction to danger, that attack just now would have been enough to destroy his primordial spirit. This was a destructive ray of immortal light that could destroy everything. Even the arena was pierced by it. What? Xiaoqing was also startled by this sudden attack. He took a step forward and instantly crossed the sky to land on the arena. What happened? All the living beings in the sky were indescribably shocked. Someone actually dared to attack Ji Yuzhong. Who was it? Could it be the ancient celestial emperor? Some people recalled the enmity between Ji Yufei and the ancient celestial emperor. Ji Yufei was Ji Yuzhong's master. Moreover, Ji Yufei had directly destroyed the ancient celestial emperor's nest. The enmity between the ancient Celestial Emperor and the ancient Celestial Emperor could be said to be irreconcilable. This was because the enmity between the two had reached an irreconcilable level. Jiyu Zhong was Jiyu Fei's disciple, so it was very likely that the ancient Celestial Emperor would attack Jiyu Zhong. While everyone was looking at Jiyu Zhong and Xiaoqing in shock, Zhuo Qiandao's body actually moved and he stood up from the ground. What? Didn't Jiyu Zhong destroy his primordial spirit? How is he not dead? Everyone was dumbfounded. The scene that happened in the arena had already exceeded everyone's understanding. The primordial spirit being destroyed and the soul dispersing was common knowledge in the world of cultivation. This, even Jiyu Zhong found it unbelievable. If the primordial spirit sword destroyed Zhuo Qiandao's primordial spirit, then Zhuo Qiandao would definitely be dead. He wouldn't even be able to become a ghost. But now, Zhuo Qiandao's body actually moved and he stood up. How could this be explained? At this moment, a sneer came down from the sky. The demon race's old ancestor. Jiyu Zhong and Xiaoqing exchanged glances and heaved a sigh of relief. As long as the old ancestor was here, no one could plot against them. Of course, if it was a fair fight, the old ancestor would not interfere even if the opponent killed Jiyu Zhong. However, if someone broke this balance and wanted to kill Jiyu Zhong with despicable means, then the old ancestor of the demon race in the heaven realm would not interfere. You. Who are you? Jiyu Zhong stared at Zhuo Qiandao and asked in a deep voice. This guy's aura had changed greatly, as if he had become a different person. Jiyu Zhong couldn't help but frown. I didn't expect you to cultivate the 9 secrets of the immortal Tao. No wonder my disciple is not your match. Zhuo Qiandao looked at Jiyu Zhong indifferently and said, Your disciple. You're the South Pole Immortal Venerable. Jiyu Zhong's eyes lit up and said coldly, Zhuo Qiandao was the disciple of the South Pole Immortal Venerable. Did this guy take over his disciple's body? The South Pole Immortal Venerable was an immortal venerable of Buzhou ancestral star. He stood at the top of the pyramid in the cultivation world of the entire star. This Zhuo Qiandao raised his head to look at the divine island in the sky, then at Jiyu Zhong and said, Do you dare to accept my challenge? Why not? Jiyu Zhong's pupils contracted as he looked at the Zhuo Qiandao. Nephew, this, Xiaoqing wanted to stop him. One should know that this South Pole Immortal Venerable was too despicable. He even wanted to take the body of his disciple. Moreover, he didn't help Zhuo Qiandao and allowed him to be killed by Jiyu Zhong. It was definitely not a good thing to fight against such a person. Martial Uncle Qing, don't worry. This guy is only an incarnation that took over Zhuo Qiandao's body. He won't be that strong. Jiyu Zhong was very confident. Very well. The Zhuo Qiandao said coldly. He was no longer Zhuo Qiandao, but an incarnation of the South Pole Immortal Venerable. It's a fair fight. Life and death are determined by fate. Think carefully. An old voice came down from the divine island in the sky. Thank you for your guidance, old ancestor. Jiyu Zhong bowed towards the divine island in the sky and said, Sigh. A sigh came from the divine island in the sky. Then, the existence on the divine island stopped talking. Nephew, you, Xiaoqing glanced at the Zhuo Qiandao and wanted to say something, but he didn't. He then flew up from the stage and retreated to the sky. I have to admire your courage to accept my challenge. The Zhuo Qiandao suddenly smiled and gave Jiyu Zhong a thumbs up. You seem to have me in your grasp. Jiyu Zhong smiled as well. I won't kill you. I can't bear to. I still want to obtain the 9 secrets of immortal Tao, haha. The Zhuo Qiandao transmitted his voice to Jiyu Zhong. The 9 secrets of immortal Tao are right here. Come and get them if you can, said Jiyu Zhong as he pointed to his head. The smile on his face had already disappeared, replaced with a solemn expression. He would never underestimate any of his opponents. Very well, I'll come and get them now. As Zhuo Qiandao spoke, his figure instantly disappeared into the void as if he had vanished into thin air. Even Jiyu Zhong couldn't see how he disappeared. In the next moment, a huge hand appeared above Jiyu Zhong's head. The 5 fingers went straight for Jiyu Zhong's head. Swoosh. In the instant that the gigantic hand was about to grab him, Ji Yuzhong's figure instantly disappeared without a trace. No one was able to clearly see how he disappeared. This. Chapter 28:59. Everyone stared at the arena, only to see two silhouettes appearing and disappearing from time to time, directly entering the void and fighting in the void. This was a battle between secret arts of the immortal path. Bang! Boom! Muffled sounds of collisions could be heard from the void above the arena. With each sound, the void above the arena would shatter. Two figures would appear and disappear in an instant. Ji Yuzhong couldn't help but be surprised. This South Pole immortal sovereign had also grasped a secret art of the immortal path. His intuition told him that this guy had more than one secret art. What secret art are those two using? Someone asked. After all, the 9 secrets of immortal Tao had disappeared for countless years. There were definitely not many people in the current world who could recognize the 9 secrets of immortal Tao. Apart from some super old fogies, no one knew that the secret technique that the two people in the arena used was the anti-emptiness secret technique. A duel between an anti-void secret technique and an anti-void secret technique. This was something that had never happened before, but today, such an unbelievable thing had happened. Very soon, the void shattered and a figure charged out. He was coughing out blood, causing golden droplets of blood to drip down from the sky. When everyone saw the figure, they were indescribably shocked. The person who was knocked out of the void was actually Ji Yuzhong. Nephew, in the distant sky, Xiaoqing couldn't help but exclaim when she saw this scene. Chimph, Ji Yuzhong sneered. His body shook and a ball of golden light emerged from his body. In the next moment, his injuries healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. The sacred king martial physique is indeed something. A voice rang out in the sky as a figure walked out. He stared coldly at Ji Yuzhong as he spoke in an awe-inspiring voice. Could you be one of the 9 sons of the immortal path? Ji Yuzhong stared at the Zhuo Qiandao and suddenly uttered these words. What 9 sons? I don't know what you're talking about. The Zhuo Qiandao replied. Die. Ji Yuzhong no longer spoke. With a furious roar, he pounced towards the guy in front of him and threw a punch. A ball of golden light suddenly appeared on his fist. I already said that you're not my opponent. The Zhuo Qiandao shook his head and threw a punch as well. Boom. The two fists collided with each other, creating a loud bang. It was as if 2 mountains had collided. 2 powerful forces spread out. Ripples that could be seen with the naked eye appeared in the void. Ji Yuzhong only felt an unstoppable force coming from the other party's hand, causing him to involuntarily take a step back. When he focused his gaze, he saw that the fellow in front of him was actually as unmoving as a mountain. What? How is this possible? Ji Yuzhong was incomparably shocked. He never thought that a human cultivator's physical body would be strong enough to compete with him. Again. Zhuo Qiandao was extremely domineering. He took a step forward and punched Ji Yuzhong with his right fist. The void trembled under his fist. You think I'm afraid of you? Ji Yuzhong's arrogance was stimulated. He also punched out. The 2 fists collided in an instant, causing an earth-shattering sound to erupt. A devastating storm swept out from the arena in every direction and some of the nearby cultivators hastily retreated. However, there were also some particularly unlucky monarchs. The destructive storm instantly enveloped the entire area. A few unlucky monarchs who couldn't escape in time were directly blown away by the storm and exploded in the air, turning into clouds of blood mist. These guys were truly unlucky. Boom. There was another earth-shattering bang, and the whole world was trembling. The void above the arena exploded, and the 2 extremely powerful figures directly fought in the extremely chaotic chaos. Ji Yuzhong became more and more shocked as the battle went on. This guy was truly powerful. Compared to the real Zhuo Qiandao, one was in the sky while the other was on the ground. There was simply no comparison. Bam! A muffled sound rang out from within the primal chaos. Ji Yuzhong charged out from within the primal chaos. There was a fist imprint on his chest that had sunk deep into his body. Roar! Ji Yuzhong roared at the sky. The opponent's strength made him feel as if he had all his abilities but couldn't display them. Heaven Ascension Secret Art. Ji Yuzhong had no other choice but to use the 9 secrets of immortal Tao to fight against this Zuo Dao. Boom! A ball of resplendent golden light erupted from Ji Yuzhong's body. It was as if a golden divine sun had appeared between the heavens and the earth. He could feel that his combat strength was soaring. This is, Zuo Dao's gaze became fierce with a hint of madness in his eyes. He had seen through the origin of the secret technique that Ji Yuzhong used. However, Ji Yuzhong couldn't believe that even after using the Heaven Ascension secret art, he still wasn't a match for this Zuo Dao. "Alright, I won't play with you anymore. Be a good boy and die." Zuo Dao reached out his hand and directly grabbed Ji Yuzhong's head. At the same time, a heaven-devouring force emerged from his palm and pulled Ji Yuzhong towards the giant hand. One heaven execution sword. Ji Yuzhong waved his right hand and a dazzling sword light instantly rushed out from his hand and pierced towards Zuo Dao. A terrifying aura of destruction spread from the sword light. He used the 9 heaven execution swords. However, even the heaven-punishing sword light could not hurt this Zuo Dao. The extremely sharp sword light was slapped into the sky by this Zuo Dao and exploded in the sky. "Little fella, I forgot to tell you. Although this is only an avatar of mine, it has the cultivation and battle strength of a peak great saint. How are you going to fight against me?" Zuo Dao said. "Damn it!" Ji Yuzhong said angrily. At this moment, everyone could see that something was wrong. This Zuo Dao was too powerful and Ji Yuzhong wasn't a match for him. Haha, Zuo Dao laughed. He was so close to capturing Ji Yuzhong. The 9 secrets of the immortal Tao was about to fall into his hands. He was naturally ecstatic. At this moment, Ji Yuzhong's lips curled up into a sneer. Rumble, in the next moment, endless lightning suddenly descended from the sky and engulfed Ji Yuzhong in an instant. The power of the lightning was extremely powerful and the aura of destruction was vast and mighty. What? Everyone turned pale with fright. No one had expected such a thing to happen. They were all stupefied. Endless dark clouds gathered high up in the sky, and a terrifying pressure descended from the depths of the sky. Heavenly Tribulation. Chapter 2860. Rumble. Countless bolts of tribulation lightning descended from the sky and instantly engulfed the arena. Each bolt of tribulation lightning was as large as a mountain, tearing through the void with terrifying destructive power. Heavenly Tribulation. Zuo Dao was both shocked and furious. This was the heavenly tribulation of a heavenly king. He never thought that Ji Yuzhong would undergo it at this time. "You what? I'm pulling you along because I think highly of you. Do you know that?" Ji Yuzhong said. At this moment, his entire body was bathed in the tribulation lightning. His entire body radiated with dazzling lightning. He didn't even try to resist the tribulation lightning and allowed it to strike him. Drawing tribulation lightning to refine the body. Zuo Dao was shocked to see this. He was an avatar of the South Pole immortal sovereign, so he naturally knew many secrets that ordinary people didn't know. Drawing tribulation lightning to refine the body was a crazy method for cultivators to refine the body. Because it was too crazy, no one dared to imitate it. Thus, only cultivators would undergo tribulation in this way. Heavenly tribulation was a tribulation sent down by the world. Ordinary cultivators would be afraid to avoid it, so who would dare to draw tribulation lightning to their body? This is too crazy. A few experts who were watching the battle from afar saw through the truth and were extremely shocked with disbelief. At this moment, Zuo Dao was struck by the tribulation lightning one after another. His appearance immediately changed. His hair stood up, his face was black, and his clothes were tattered. He looked like a beggar. A few bolts of tribulation lightning almost blasted the South Pole immortal sovereign avatar out of Zuo Dao's body. Roar. Zuo Dao's body roared at the sky after being taken over by the South Pole immortal sovereign avatar. An extremely powerful astral energy surged out from his body. In the void, a star diagram appeared around Zuo Dao. It drew in the astral energy of the stars and blocked all the tribulation lightning around him. A tribulation of this level can't hurt me. Zuo Dao stared at the figure in the depths of the sea of lightning and coldly said. At this time, He understood that the other party wanted to use the heavenly tribulation to kill the enemy. Unfortunately, this level of tribulation lightning could not harm Zhuo Qiandao at all. After all, Zhuo Qiandao was a peak saint king. Is that so? Don't run away later. Ji Yuzhong's voice came from within the tribulation lightning. The deafening thunder was unable to cover his voice. Kill. Zhuo Qiandao responded with a roar and directly charged towards Ji Yuzhong. The stars floating around him immediately turned into a terrifying sword light that broke through the layers of tribulation lightning and pierced towards Ji Yuzhong. Hey! Ji Yuzhong was startled. He found that this Zhuo Qiandao was even stronger than the real Zhuo Qiandao, which surprised him a lot. This was because this Zhuo Qiandao had already become a clone of the South Pole Immortal Exalt. Although the body was the real Zhuo Qiandao, the soul was a clone of the South Pole Immortal Exalt. However, under the control of the South Pole Immortal Exalt's clone, Zhuo Qiandao's body could actually display even greater battle prowess than the original. This was just too unbelievable. Ji Yuzhong didn't dare to be careless and quickly made a move. A huge ball of lightning immediately appeared in front of him and smashed towards the starlight sword qi that had pierced through. Boom! With a loud bang, the starlight sword qi and the thunderball collided. The thunderball exploded, and a terrifying destructive force instantly shattered the starlight sword qi. What? He's drawing the power of the tribulation lightning for his own use? Zhuo Qiandao was extremely shocked. This Ji Yuzhong was truly heaven-defying. No wonder he could defeat his disciple. It would probably be very difficult to break the legend of being invincible within the same realm. The chaotic secret art. High up in the sky, the demon race old ancestor's eyes lit up when he saw this scene. His gaze pierced through the tribulation lightning and landed on Ji Yuzhong. At this moment, Ji Yuzhong had already used 4 secret arts of the Immortal Tao, the Heaven Ascension secret art, the Void Reversal secret art, and now the chaotic secret art as well as the primordial spirit Tao sword art. That Ji Yufei might have really obtained the complete 9 secrets of the Immortal Tao. The old ancestor muttered to himself. Naturally, no one could hear his voice. This was because the place where the old ancestor stood was a world of its own. As long as he willed it, no one could see him, hear his voice, or sense his aura. The demon race old ancestor was this capricious. Rumble, at this time, the thunder in the sky became even more shocking. The entire heaven and earth trembled as a destructive force filled every inch of the void. Countless experts who were watching the battle from afar retreated far away from the lightning formed by the tribulation lightning. This was the power of the heavenly tribulation. If they got too close, their own heavenly tribulation would also be triggered. However, Zhuo Qiandao was in a special state. His heavenly tribulation wasn't triggered. Just as Zhuo Qiandao was about to make another move, the tribulation lightning from the sky turned purple. The destructive aura from the sky became even more powerful, and the tribulation lightning's power instantly multiplied. What? It actually attracted the 9 heavens purple tribulation lightning? Zhuo Qiandao couldn't help but be shocked at this scene. The 9 heavens purple tribulation lightning. Just by hearing this name, one could tell that this tribulation lightning was extremely powerful. At this time, even Zhuo Qiandao had to be careful. If he was struck by this tribulation lightning, it wouldn't be a joke. Ji Yuzhong still didn't make a move to resist the tribulation lightning. He allowed the terrifying tribulation lightning to fall on his head. In the next moment, his entire body was submerged by the purple lightning. This guy, Zhuo Qiandao, was not only moved by this scene, he was also shocked. He couldn't believe that Ji Yuzhong's body could directly withstand the attack of the violet heaven tribulation thunder. Roar. Ji Yuzhong roared towards the sky. Purple lightning shot out from his eyes, ears, mouth, and nose. The power of this tribulation lightning was without a doubt. This kind of rare lightning tribulation was not something that anyone could encounter. Ji Yuzhong's second wave of tribulation lightning was the 9 heavens purple tribulation lightning. This truly frightened everyone in the sky and all the living beings who were watching the battle. While Ji Yuzhong was using all his strength to resist the second wave of tribulation lightning, Zhuo Qiandao was also in danger. The purple tribulation lightning that descended from the sky could actually strike the starry sky around him. This made Zhuo Qiandao both shocked and angry. Buzz. The star diagram vibrated as Zhuo Qiandao directly charged towards Ji Yuzhong. A powerful star power surged out from the star diagram and broke through the layers of purple lightning. In an instant, it arrived in front of Ji Yuzhong. Suppress. Zhuo Qiandao channeled the star power with all his might. The star diagram rushed out from his body and emitted a dazzling starlight. Under his control, it suppressed Ji Yuzhong. In an instant, Ji Yuzhong felt his body tighten as if the void around him was about to solidify. Rumble, endless nine heavens purple tribulation lightning descended from the sky and struck down on Ji Yuzhong, who was sealed in the void. In an instant, the void that was sealed by the star atlas collapsed. Dance of the Dragons! Ji Yuzhong roared furiously and actually summoned the 9 extremely dazzling 9 heavens violet tribulation lightning, which then bombarded Zhuo Qiandao. Interesting. Chapter 2861. The power of the 9 heavens violet tribulation thunder was undeniable. This kind of tribulation thunder could directly kill a saint emperor. However, Ji Yuzhong still allowed the tribulation lightning to strike his body. He was borrowing the power of the tribulation lightning to refine his martial body. At the same time, he used one of the 9 secrets of immortal Tao, the chaotic reversal secret art. He directed the tribulation lightning at the South Pole Immortal Exalt's clone. 9 bolts of lightning that were powerful enough to make Saint Kings tremble descended from the sky. They turned into 9 huge purple dragons that lunged at the clone. What? The clone was extremely shocked. He hurriedly turned into a streak of starlight and charged to the side. He wanted to dodge the 9 dragon-shaped bolts of lightning. However, the 9 dragon-shaped lightning bolts were extremely fast and directly bombarded the starlight formed by the South Pole Immortal Venerable's clone. Roar. With a furious roar, the South Pole Immortal Exalt's clone fell out of the sky. He was instantly engulfed by the 9 bolts of lightning that descended from the sky. Rumble. After a series of thunderous booms, the South Pole Immortal Exalt's clone charged out of the lightning. His hair was disheveled and his body had been charred black by the lightning. His clothes were tattered and hung on his body like rags. He was in an extremely miserable state. A burnt smell came from the South Pole Immortal Sovereign's avatar. Even though this was Zhuo Qiandao's body, it was still heavily injured by the Violet Heaven Tribulation lightning. Zhuo Qiandao's body was a bloody mess. Charred bones could even be seen in some places. Damn, he's still alive. Ji Yuzhong couldn't help but shudder when he saw this. The South Pole Immortal Exalt was indeed quite capable. It was just a clone that had entered Zhuo Qiandao's body, yet it was able to display such great battle prowess. Some experts of the Saint Plane who were watching the battle from afar were also stunned when they saw the scene in the Thunder Tribulation. In their opinion, Zhuo Qiandao could be considered heaven-defying. He was struck by 9 bolts of the Violet Tribulation thunder of the 9th heaven, but was only injured and not killed. One had to know that the tribulation lightning of the 9 heavens could kill Saint Emperors. Even peak Saint Emperors would be annihilated if they were struck by it. Damn it. The South Pole Immortal Sovereign's clone roared furiously. A powerful immortal energy erupted from his body. Immortal runes emerged on his body and his wounds healed at a visible rate. Again. At this time, Ji Yuzhong took a step forward and instantly closed in on South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation. Bolts of purple lightning descended from the sky, blasting his body. He was like an ancient god of lightning. His entire body blossomed with dazzling lightning as a terrifying aura of destruction spread out from his body. Chaotic power erupted from his body. The purple lightning bolts that came crashing down from the sky were immediately guided by chaotic power towards South Pole Immortal Venerable's clone. Seeing this, South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation could not help but be moved. Shua. South Pole Immortal Venerable's clone directly soared into the sky, evading the purple heaven tribulation lightning. However, the range of the tribulation lightning was very wide. After dodging one wave, another wave came. In the end, the South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation was still hit. He was directly struck by the purple heaven tribulation lightning and fell from the sky onto the stage. Ha ha, come, undergo the tribulation with me. Ji Yuzhong laughed loudly and pounced forward, directly pushing South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation onto the stage. South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation was truly shocked. He wanted to struggle free, but the purple heaven tribulation lightning struck down, causing his body to tremble and twitch continuously. There were a total of 81 purple heaven tribulation lightning strikes. After the 81 lightning strikes, South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation was already beyond recognition. However, despite being struck so miserably by the purple heaven tribulation lightning, South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation still did not die. His skull emitted a dazzling immortal light. Ji Yuzhong tightly hugged South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation, not letting go no matter how hard the incarnation struggled. Rumble, at this time, an even more terrifying thunder resounded in the depths of the sky. Bolts of human-shaped lightning flickered faintly. An unimaginably powerful destructive power rippled out, shaking the entire world. Even South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation was stunned when he saw the human-shaped lightning. He struggled with all his might, erupting with powerful immortal energy. However, Ji Yuzhong's arms seemed to have taken root in his body. No matter how hard he struggled, he could not break free. Roar! South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation roared. Suddenly, immortal runes rushed out from his forehead. Each rune transformed into a resplendent immortal blade that slashed at Ji Yuzhong. The immortal blades radiated with immortal energy. Immortal runes could be faintly seen within them. These were blades of light formed from the power of the great Tao. They were much more powerful than ordinary Saint King armaments. However, Ji Yuzhong's entire body shone with golden light at this time, as if he had turned into a golden man cast from essence gold. The blades of light formed from immortal runes slashed at Ji Yuzhong's body, producing a series of clangs. They were all knocked away. Everyone in the sky outside the stage was extremely shocked when they saw this. Ji Yuzhong's body was just too powerful. He was actually able to endure the blades of light formed from the power of the great Tao. If it was any other saint venerable, they would have been sliced into pieces by the blades of light. Yeah, the heavenly lightning's refinement is indeed useful. Ji Yuzhong's martial body has become even stronger. Up in the sky, Xiaoqing couldn't help nodding inwardly when she saw this scene. Although this method of setting oneself on fire seemed crazy, once it succeeded, one's physical body would be greatly tempered and become even stronger. South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation was on the verge of going crazy. He knew that he couldn't endure the lightning tribulation when he saw the human-shaped lightning about to descend. Buzz! Space trembled. An almost transparent ball of true immortal fire appeared above South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation. It instantly wrapped around Ji Yuzhong and burned him. Ji Yuzhong's clothes immediately turned into ashes under the burning of the true immortal fire, revealing his dazzling golden physique. Golden runes faintly appeared on the golden physique, blocking the burning of the true immortal fire. This time, South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation panicked. At the same time, a human-shaped lightning swooped down from the sky. Boom! It directly landed on Ji Yuzhong and South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation. This time, Ji Yuzhong suffered an unimaginable impact. He opened his mouth and spurted out a mouthful of golden blood. Countless cracks appeared on the skull of South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation as if it would shatter into countless pieces in the next moment. South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation's shell was Zhuo Qiandao's. A strand of South Pole Immortal Venerable's divine sense entered his Niwen palace to control this shell. But now, Zhuo Qiandao's shell couldn't withstand it anymore. The human-shaped lightning was even more terrifying than the purple heaven tribulation lightning from the 9 heavens. This type of tribulation lightning rarely appeared. Only heaven-defying existences in the legends would trigger a heavenly tribulation like this. No one expected that after the purple heaven tribulation lightning from the 9 heavens, the heavens would send down this human-shaped lightning. South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation risked his life, but he still couldn't get rid of Ji Yuzhong. Another human-shaped lightning descended from the sky and struck the two of them. This time, Ji Yuzhong vomited blood again. However, the one he was tightly hugging didn't just vomit blood. The immortal light in the skull of South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation began to dim. "I don't believe I can't kill you," Jiyu Zhong fiercely said. His arms tightened, causing the sounds of bones breaking to resound from the incarnation's body. South Pole Immortal Venerable kept coughing out blood. Rumble, deafening thunder rumbled in the sky. Streaks of human-shaped lightning descended from the sky and bombarded Jiyu Zhong and the South Pole Immortal Venerate's clones. Crack. The skull of South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation finally cracked. A small figure wrapped in immortal light soared into the sky, trying to escape. However, a human-shaped bolt of lightning descended from the sky and slammed into the ball of celestial light. The ball of celestial light immediately exploded, and the tiny figure wrapped in the celestial light was instantly destroyed by the terrifying destructive power of the human-shaped bolt of lightning. The incarnation of South Pole Immortal Venerable fell just like that. Just as the South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation was blasted apart by the human-shaped lightning, on a certain divine island in the sky above the human realm, in a certain pavilion, a person suddenly opened his eyes. A drop of blood emerged from the center of his brows, then flowed down. How is this possible? Jiyu Zhong is only Jiyu Fei's disciple. How could he kill my incarnation? Such words resounded in the pavilion. Reporting to Master, eldest senior brother's life token has shattered. At this time, a voice came from outside the pavilion. A middle-aged man in green clothes was standing outside the entrance of the pavilion. He stood there respectfully and didn't even dare to breathe loudly. "Got it. You can leave now." The young man in the pavilion stood up, pushed the door open and walked out. "Yes, Master," the middle-aged man in green clothes hurriedly said, then bowed and carefully retreated. "Jiyu Zhong, did I really underestimate this little fella?" South Pole Immortal Venerable looked at the sky and muttered to himself. Swish. In the next moment, South Pole Immortal Venerable's figure disappeared in the void, his whereabouts unknown. At this time, Heaven World, West Underworld Ocean. On the arena, Jiyu Zhong successfully used the power of the heavenly tribulation to kill South Pole Immortal Venerable's incarnation. Chapter 2862. Jiyu Zhong borrowed the power of the heavenly tribulation to kill a clone of the South Pole Immortal Sovereign. This shocked all the living beings who witnessed this scene. At the same time, the saints were also shocked by the power of the human-shaped lightning in the sky. Zhuo Qiandao's physique was the true Saint King Dao physique. However, even with such a strong physique, it could not withstand the power of this humanoid lightning. Even his bones were cracked by this humanoid lightning. At this time, the human-shaped lightning temporarily stopped and no longer struck down from the sky. However, Jiyu Zhong could feel an even more powerful heavenly tribulation power condensing. Jiyu Zhong's battle intent surged. He raised his head to look at the tribulation cloud in the sky. Golden Dao runes faintly appeared in his eyes. Within the tribulation cloud, bolts of lightning constantly flashed. The supreme destructive power caused all the living beings in the world to feel fear. This was the might of the heavens, capable of intimidating all living beings in the world. All living beings in this world were ants before the might of the heavens. Only a true extreme grade sovereign could step on the complete great Tao of the heavens and earth. Becoming an extreme grade sovereign was definitely not an easy task. There were countless cultivators in the world. All of them wanted to live forever and never perish, but in the end, how many of them could truly live forever and never perish? Even those legendary extreme sovereigns would disappear one day, let alone saints. At this time, Jiyu Zhong encountered the most dangerous test he had ever experienced. Once he failed, his body and soul would be destroyed by the power of the heavenly tribulation. However, once he succeeded, he would become a true heavenly king, an invincible existence among heavenly kings. Rumble, thunder rumbled in the depths of the sky. Dazzling bolts of lightning constantly flashed, tearing apart the dusky world and illuminating the dark sky. Every time a bolt of lightning appeared, Jiyu Zhong could see figures standing in the depths of the sky. To be more precise, they were figures formed from lightning. Preposterous. Are you trying to kill me? Jiyu Zhong was shocked to the extreme when he saw the scene in the depths of the sky. He wasn't his master, Jiyu Fei, So why would a heavenly tribulation of this level find him? The human-shaped lightning was a mark of the great Tao left behind by those who had successfully passed the heavenly tribulation in this world. Existences that were capable of leaving behind a brand of the grand Tao in the heavens Tao were all existences that were unbelievably formidable, and they could be called geniuses in the cultivation world. The current Jiyu Zhong was equivalent to fighting against these powerful existences. As long as he defeated these fellows, he would become a true Saint Emperor. This was a different type of great battle. The main characters didn't come, only the imprints left on heavenly Tao were evolving. Everyone anxiously looked at the figure standing in the arena. They were all very curious as to whether this person would be able to survive this ordeal. Some people who knew of Jiyu Zhong's origins knew that Jiyu Zhong's chances of success were very high because he had a Saint Emperor level martial body. This level of martial body was extremely powerful and might be able to contend against the humanoid lightning. The tribulation lightning was still brewing, and it could fall from the sky at any time. Why isn't it starting yet? Jiyu Zhong was a little impatient from waiting on the arena. Suddenly, he had an idea and rushed into the sky, directly charging into the tribulation clouds in the sky. Boom! With a loud sound, the entire world violently trembled. Pitch-black spatial cracks shot out in all directions like black lightning. The moment Jiyu Zhong plunged into the tribulation clouds, the tribulation that was still brewing was detonated. Endless lightning bolts burst out, illuminating the entire dusky world. Die! Jiyu Zhong roared and immediately executed the metal element fist. His fists seemed to have turned into two golden suns as they smashed towards the humanoid lightning bolts that were attacking him. A total of 8 humanoid lightning surrounded Jiyu Zhong. Every single one of them radiated a heart-palpitating fiendish aura. This was an intense battle. There was no doubt about the strength of the humanoid lightning. Jiyu Zhong constantly coughed up blood from the attacks of the humanoid lightning. 3 of the 8 humanoid lightning were dispersed by Jiyu Zhong, before turning into imprints that soared into the sky and returned to the laws of the world. However, the remaining 5 humanoid lightning were extremely powerful, causing Jiyu Zhong to be in a dangerous situation. His martial body had almost been shattered by their attacks. Bang! Jiyu Zhong was extremely ferocious. He clashed with one of the humanoid lightning's fists and flew backwards. Boom! A huge hand descended from the sky and directly slammed Jiyu Zhong onto the arena. Roar! Jiyu Zhong roared as he stood up from the ground. At this moment, another human-shaped lightning bolt rushed past him. In the next moment, he felt a sharp pain in his abdomen, as if his internal organs had been shaken and shifted. A trace of blood seeped out of the corner of his mouth. Preposterous! Jiyu Zhong was both shocked and enraged. He executed his 8 steps extreme speed and rapidly moved through the sky, fighting against the 5 humanoid lightning. Golden blood continuously dripped down from the sky. Secret art of Wu. Jiyu Zhong's hands danced as a strange energy fluctuation immediately spread out from his body. His entire body seemed to have turned into a terrifying vortex. A heaven-devouring force gushed out and actually pulled a humanoid lightning over. The humanoid bolt of lightning rapidly dissipated, and a heavenly Tao brand appeared. After that, it shot into the sky and broke through the restraints of Jiyu Zhong's heaven-devouring power. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared into the depths of the sky. Another humanoid lightning was dealt with by Jiyu Zhong. However, there were still 4 humanoid lightning that surrounded him. One had to admit that the 9 secrets of immortal Tao were truly heaven-defying. Jiyu Zhong circulated the secret art of Wu with all his might, causing another humanoid lightning to fly towards him. Without any suspense, the humanoid lightning also turned into a heavenly Tao imprint and broke through the void, returning to the heavenly Tao. Boom! In the instant that Jiyu Zhong dealt with the humanoid lightning, a bolt of lightning emitted the most dazzling light. It directly broke through Jiyu Zhong's boundless secret art and slammed into him. In the next moment, half of Jiyu Zhong's body exploded. His flesh, tendons, and bones instantly turned into a mist of blood. How powerful! Jiyu Zhong was shocked. He directly counterattacked and scattered the humanoid lightning in the sky. The heavenly Tao imprint soared into the sky and returned to the heavenly Tao. In the next moment, half of Ji Yuzhong's body exploded. His flesh, tendons, and bones instantly turned into a mist of blood. How powerful! Chapter 2863. Ji Yuzhong had attracted a rarely seen heavenly tribulation. A humanoid bolt of lightning had actually appeared within the tribulation. It was an imprint of the heavenly Tao. Since ancient times, there had been countless heaven-defying beings. It was unknown just how many of them had left their imprints on the heavenly Tao when they underwent their tribulations. Ji Yuzhong had attracted this heavenly tribulation. This meant that his heaven-defying constitution and supreme battle prowess had obtained the recognition of the heavens, which was why this heavenly tribulation had descended. Although this heavenly tribulation was still within the realm of a saint king, ordinary saint kings probably wouldn't even be able to withstand a single humanoid bolt of lightning. They would be blasted to smithereens in an instant. Even peak saint kings would die if they encountered this heavenly tribulation. The clone of the South Pole immortal Exalt was a very good example. Rumble, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Ji Yuzhong and the two powerful human-shaped lightning bolts battled on the arena. Everyone who saw this scene was extremely shocked. It was just too shocking. The battle prowess Ji Yuzhong had displayed had already surpassed ordinary saint kings. However, even so, he still struggled to disperse the two humanoid bolts of lightning. The humanoid bolts of lightning were just that monstrous. They could even kill peak saint kings. Once Ji Yuzhong successfully underwent his tribulation, he would definitely be invincible among those at the same level. This brat's potential is limitless. The ancestor of the Yarrow race sighed in amazement. Even he had to admit that Ji Yuzhong was the second heaven-defying existence he had seen other than his master, Ji Yufei. Ji Yuzhong's temperament was actually very similar to Ji Yufei's. However, Ji Yuzhong cultivated the power of metal. Although he only cultivated one type of energy, he could still become a supreme existence in the world. Boom! With a loud sound, Ji Yuzhong was struck by one of the humanoid bolts of lightning. He was directly blown out of the arena. A strand of golden blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. Roar! Ji Yuzhong roared furiously. His entire body emitted a golden light that resembled golden flames, and the sound of wind and thunder rang out from within his body. A supreme martial power erupted, immediately forcing out the power of thunder and lightning that had invaded his body. At this moment, he did not dare to draw the power of the humanoid lightning to temper his body. One must know that the power of the humanoid lightning was enough to injure his martial body. If this energy was used to temper one's body, one could be killed by this energy if they were not careful. It was very dangerous. Ji Yuzhong wasn't crazy enough to joke around with his life. Bang! Just as Ji Yuzhong steadied himself, another human-shaped lightning bolt charged at him from behind and punched him in the back. At the same time, the human-shaped lightning bolt in front of him also arrived. It was a blurry figure that was faintly discernible amidst the lightning. He threw a punch at Ji Yuzhong's chest. Roar! Ji Yuzhong roared. He stretched out his right hand and grabbed the fist of the humanoid lightning before him. Then, he frantically activated the chaotic secret technique. Buzz! The void trembled, emitting a deafening sound. Ji Yuzhong drew the power of the humanoid lightning behind him and attacked the humanoid lightning in front of him. Then, he drew the power of the humanoid lightning in front of him and attacked the humanoid lightning behind him. Just like that, he became a medium. The two terrifying destructive powers passed through his body and attacked each other. The three figures stopped, and just like that, they were in a deadlock. What's going on? Seeing the scene on the stage, everyone was dumbfounded. They had no idea what was happening. Only a few old antiques were able to see through the situation. At this moment, Ji Yuzhong was enduring unimaginable pain. The two supreme destructive energies were fighting within his body. His flesh and bones were constantly being destroyed, but they were constantly being regenerated. This was a terrifying cycle. Ji Yuzhong's flesh and bones were constantly being tempered and strengthened. However, this was definitely a crazy action with a slim chance of survival. If he wasn't careful, he would draw fire to himself and be blasted to smithereens by the power of the two humanoid lightning. Jiyu Zhong's body blossomed with destructive lightning. His 7 orifices flickered with lightning. In the end, every inch of his muscles and even every strand of hair on his body was covered in lightning. This erupt in the sky, Xiaoqing couldn't help clenching his fists. He was extremely nervous. He knew that Jiyu Zhong was at a critical moment of life and death. Swish. At that moment, a ray of black light suddenly shot out from a black cloud in the distant sky, piercing towards Jiyu Zhong on the stage. Someone made a move at this moment, wanting to interfere with Jiyu Zhong's tribulation and have him die under it. A cold snort rang out from the island. Then, a large hand reached down from the island and grabbed the black light that was shooting towards Jiyu Zhong. Then, with a forceful grip, the hand loosened, and a black arrow that had been broken into several pieces fell from his hand. The crowd couldn't help but be astonished. At the same time, another huge hand appeared and directly grabbed the person hiding in the black cloud in the sky. He didn't even have a chance to escape. "Spare me," a middle-aged daoist cried out in panic from within the huge hand. However, the hand that was grabbing onto the middle-aged daoist tightened its grip, and the middle-aged daoist was crushed to death. Just like that, the middle-aged daoist breathed his last. At the sight of this, everyone was stunned. This old ancestor of the demon race was way too strong. Ordinary sages were just like ants in front of this old ancestor. Whoever dares to attack will end up like this. An old voice came from the divine island. Although it wasn't loud, it spread across the entire region. Every living being heard it. They couldn't help but shiver when they heard it. The ancestor of the demon race had spoken. Those who originally wanted to attack Jiyu Zhong had no choice but to stop and not dare to do anything. One had to know that the person on the divine island was a ruthless character. He was the ancestor of the demon race. Among the demon race in the heavenly realm, there was probably no one who could compare to him. Even the Tai Huang's son, the old turtle, had to consider himself a junior in front of this ancestor. The Tai Huang's son was a heaven-defying existence. Even he was the ancestor's junior. One could imagine how powerful and terrifying this ancestor was. Rumble. The sound of thunder came from Jiyu Zhong's body. This extreme body tempering method made him feel as if his soul was about to be torn apart. He wanted to give up several times. However, he knew that once he gave up, his soul would be destroyed. He didn't want to die because there were still many things he hadn't done yet. He still had things he cared about in this world. His wife, his son, they were all things he cared about. Jiyu Zhong had made it through. At the most dangerous moment, he had made it through. From then on, the 2 human-shaped lightning bolts began to dim, as if they could disappear at any time. Raw. Chapter 2864. After a narrow escape, Jiyu Zhong finally passed the heavenly tribulation. This shocked everyone. When the humanoid lightning appeared, no one thought highly of Jiyu Zhong anymore. However, no one expected Jiyu Zhong to make it through and become a true heavenly king. After passing the heavenly tribulation, his cultivation rose to the peak of heavenly king. He was invincible among those of the same level. This surprised even him. Jiyu Zhong was summoned to the divine island by the ancestor of the monster race after undergoing the Saint King heavenly tribulation. The ancestor personally arranged a banquet to celebrate Jiyu Zhong's success. The upper echelon of the monster race all came. No one dared to look down on Jiyu Zhong. Jiyu Zhong was a heavenly king, invincible among those of the same level. Just as Jiyu Zhong passed the heavenly tribulation, the place where Jiyu Fei was in seclusion in Wanxiang City shone brightly. A strange phenomenon appeared in the sky. There seemed to be a supreme existence chanting in the air, explaining the truths of the world. Is the master coming out? The Iron-Blood Daoist, who stayed behind to guard the city, was shocked. He personally stood guard outside Jiyu Fei's seclusion and did not move a single step away. At this time, all the cultivators in Wanxiang City were shocked. All the cultivators gathered outside the city lord's estate and looked at the strange phenomenon in the sky. They were all shocked. In the sky above the city lord's residence, there were tens of thousands of rays of light. There seemed to be a blurry figure sitting there, chanting the divine voice of the Great Path. Resonating with the Great Tao, someone said. This was a phenomenon of enlightenment. The appearance of this phenomenon meant that someone had comprehended the great Tao and was resonating with the great Tao of the world. Is the master really going to take that step? In a courtyard of the city lord's estate, the heaven, earth and mortal saints raised their heads to look at the phenomenon in the sky. The heaven saint muttered to himself. His cultivation was the highest among the three. He could feel the faintly discernible voice of the great Tao and the truths of the great Tao within it. This kind of rhythm was very beneficial to him. At this moment, within Ji Yufei's secluded cultivation grounds, Ji Yufei was seated cross-legged without moving at all. It was as if he had fallen asleep, and he seemed to have lost all sense of the outside world. However, there was a Daoist aura emanating from his body, causing a strange phenomenon to appear in the surroundings. On the third day after Ji Yufei triggered the phenomenon, a strange fluctuation came from the old tortoise's retreat. There was also a phenomenon of heaven and earth that was not inferior to Ji Yufei's. Two quasi-supremes appeared at the same time. The iron-blood Taoist was truly stunned. Old Tortoise was also about to take that step. The news of the unusual phenomenon in Wanxiang City quickly spread and could not be hidden at all. Soon, powerful figures began to appear in the vicinity of Wanxiang City. Ji Yufei's cultivation was already at the pinnacle of the Holy Venerate. If his cultivation improved further, wouldn't he become a half-step supremacy? Some people could no longer sit still, but they did not dare to act rashly. This was because they knew very well that the consequences would be dire if they were to offend Ji Yufei. One night, a mysterious figure appeared outside the city gates of Wanxiang City. At this moment, the city gates were already closed. However, that person was extremely domineering. With a single punch, he smashed the city gates inwards. Enemy attack. Wanxiang City was instantly thrown into chaos. Shouts could be heard everywhere as groups of soldiers gathered towards the city gates from all over the city. Meanwhile, the masked man in black who smashed the city gates with a single punch strode into the ancient city. The figures of the heaven, earth and mortal saints appeared at the end of the street and went up to the masked man. A great battle broke out. On the street, four figures were moving rapidly. The heaven, earth and mortal saints joined forces, but they could not take down this mysterious man. Bang! The mysterious man sent the human sage of the three sages of heaven, earth and human flying with a kick. Boom! With a loud bang, the mortal saint was smashed into a house on the side of the street. In the next moment, he rushed out again. He wiped away the trace of blood at the corner of his mouth and continued to attack the mysterious man. Bang! At the same time, the heaven saint and the mysterious man's palm met. He felt a surge of energy from the other party's palm. Then, he could not help but stagger back 5 or 6 steps. "Who are you? How dare you come here and cause trouble?" The heaven saint said coldly. However, the mysterious man did not say a word. He directly attacked the earth saint and the mortal saint. Buzz! The void vibrated. The mysterious man had forced the earth saint and the mortal saint back again with his bare hands. He was so powerful that it was unbelievable. At this moment, Zhu Guliang appeared at the end of the street. He stared anxiously at the 4 figures engaged in an intense battle on the street. With Zhu Guliang's cultivation, he naturally could not tell anything. Very soon, the iron-blood Daoist arrived with the Phoenix Tribulation in his hand. His entire body was filled with a murderous aura. The aura he exuded was terrifying. "I'm done playing with you." As the mysterious masked man spoke, he immediately unleashed his divine might and sent the heaven, earth, and mortal saints flying. Then, he moved and pounced at the iron-blood Daoist. "You don't know your place." The iron-blood Daoist sneered and immediately activated the Phoenix Tribulation in his hand. An extremely powerful aura of the Divine Phoenix spread from the Phoenix Tribulation in his hand. Divine Phoenix spreads its wings. The iron-blood Daoist shook the Phoenix Tribulation in his hand. The image of a golden Divine Phoenix immediately rushed out from the Phoenix Tribulation and met the incoming mysterious man. The space around the mysterious man suddenly trembled, and transparent ripples visible to the naked eye spread out in all directions. Then, something that even the iron-blood Daoist found unbelievable happened. The image of the divine phoenix that had rushed out from the phoenix tribulation rushed into the space around the mysterious man and disappeared. What? The iron-blood Daoist could not help but be shocked when he saw this. After all, that was the power of the phoenix tribulation. It had been dissolved just like that. It was truly shocking. Boom. Just as the iron-blood Daoist was in shock, the mysterious man stretched out his hand and the space trembled. The divine phoenix that had disappeared reappeared and pounced at him. How is this possible? The iron-blood Daoist's shock was no small matter. Could it be that this fellow had also cultivated the chaos reversal secret technique? Swoosh. The iron-blood Daoist flew into the sky and dodged the sudden attack. Then, the phoenix tribulation shook and runes appeared faintly. 9 images of the divine phoenix appeared in the void. An extremely powerful force of the divine phoenix spread from the phoenix tribulation in his hand, causing the world to lose its color. Interesting. The mysterious masked man nodded when he saw this. You. Chapter 2865. You're really something to dare to invade my territory. It seems like you don't know how to write the word death. Looks like I'll have to teach you how to write it. A voice came from the main street of Wanxiang City. A figure walked over from the direction of the City Lord's office. The light from the City Lord's office elongated his shadow. At this moment, Wanxiang City was brightly lit. When the news that someone had invaded the city spread, all the cultivators in the city were extremely shocked. Jiyu Fei. The mysterious masked man stared at the approaching figure and his eyes narrowed. However, he soon realized that something was wrong because the phenomenon in the sky above Wanxiang City was still there. Auspicious colors descended from the sky and the divine light of the great Tao soared into the sky. It was as if a supreme being of the great Tao was sitting there and preaching. Countless cultivators were sensing the great Tao runes. However, as the mysterious man in black attacked Wanxiang City, his extremely powerful aura spread throughout the city. This interrupted the comprehension of countless living beings in the city, causing all the cultivators to be furious. Who is it that dares to disturb our comprehension? I'm going to kill him. Some people roared furiously. Initially, they were about to comprehend something, but they were affected by the waves of the battle, causing them to withdraw from that mysterious state of comprehension. Many of the living beings in the city were shocked to discover that they could no longer enter that mysterious state of enlightenment. Damn it! Some people beat their chests and roared at the sky. One must know that such an epiphany was not easy to come by. It could only be encountered by chance. Some living beings could not encounter it even once in their entire lives. At this moment, the mysterious masked man stared at the black-robed young man. His battle intent was like a rainbow, and his gaze was like a sharp sword as it swept over the young man. You're not Jiyu Fei. Who are you? The mysterious man stared at the young man in black and said coldly, Greetings, my lord. At this moment, the iron-blood Daoist hurriedly bowed to the young man in black. The heaven, earth, and human saints also hurriedly bowed to the young man in black. Impossible, you are definitely not Jiyu Fei, at least not his real body. The mysterious man stared at the young man in black and said in a deep voice. Tao patterns appeared and intertwined in his eyes, forming a Tao diagram. It seems like you have some knowledge. The black-clothed youth crossed his arms and looked at the mysterious masked man with a faint smile. This guy's cultivation was not weak. He was at least a peak Saint Emperor, only half a step away from the great Saint realm. It was obvious that someone had sent this masked man to probe Wanxiang City's situation. There should be someone else behind this masked man. Shua. The mysterious masked man immediately turned around, transformed into a beam of divine light, and rushed towards the city gate. He wanted to escape from this place. At this moment, the mysterious masked man was filled with regret. He should not have been provoked by those fellows' words and charged into Wanxiang City. Didn't they say that there were only a few small characters in Wanxiang City? Just as the mysterious man was about to rush out of the city, a figure suddenly appeared in front of the divine light and stretched out his hand. Clang! The divine light instantly collided with the man's right hand. The man did not move at all, but the divine light was repelled. The divine light dissipated and a figure appeared. The mysterious man staggered a few times and almost fell to the ground. His mask was wet and blood was dripping from his chin. The collision just now had clearly caused him to suffer quite a bit of shock. "You still want to escape in front of me?" The black-clothed youth tilted his head and said to the masked man with an evil smile. "You." The masked man was shocked and furious. This guy was as terrifying as the rumors said. It was just a clone and he was already so powerful. "What you? Let me teach you how to write the word death first," the black-clothed youth said with a smile. "Ha ha, black guy. Weren't you very arrogant just now? Why aren't you arrogant now?" Zhuge Liang laughed and walked over. "Greetings, Lord." Zhuge Liang bowed to the black-clothed youth. "This. Lord, I'm not talking about you." At this moment, Zhuge Liang suddenly realized that Ji Yufei was also dressed in black. He hurriedly explained. The black-clothed youth glanced at Zhuge Liang and did not say anything. At this moment, the Iron-Blood Daoist and the three saints of heaven, earth and man were staring at the masked man with a gloating expression. They did not think that this guy would be a match for their lord. The masked man did not say anything and only stared nervously at the black-clothed youth. The blood and qi in his body surged and an extremely powerful sacred emperor's aura spread from his body. "Aya, look at Lil Black's attitude. Does he really dare to fight against our lord?" The man-saint of the three saints of heaven, earth and man said disdainfully. From his point of view, although Ji Yufei's real body had not descended, he was still not someone that a puny sacred emperor could contend against. More accurately, no one present believed that Lil Black had the right to be mentioned in the same breath as one of Ji Yufei's clones. "All right, I'll give you a chance. As long as you tell me where you came from and who's behind you, I'll let you go. How about it?" Ji Yufei's avatar looked at the black-clothed masked man with a faint smile. "What did you say?" The masked man could not help but be stunned when he heard this. A sliver of excitement appeared in his eyes. After all, no one wanted to die, especially those powerful existences. "Are you deaf? Can't you hear my lord's words?" said Zhuge Liang. "Are you really going to let me go?" said the mysterious man. His voice began to tremble. "What do you think?" asked Ji Yufei. The masked man fell silent. He did not want to die, at least not like this. His opponent was just too powerful. He had no chance of winning at all. He was as weak as an ant before his opponent. If his opponent had wanted to kill him, he would have died long ago. "Still not talking? I don't have much patience," said Ji Yufei calmly. The masked man could not help but feel shocked when he heard Ji Yufei's words. He knew his opponent very well. His opponent had no scruples. He would kill someone regardless of who they were or where they came from. This person is so powerful. He should not be lying to me. Maybe he'll really let me go. The masked man pondered for a moment and made up his mind. He then took off the mask on his face, revealing his true appearance. "Oh, so it's a pretty boy," Zhuge Liang said in surprise. The masked man turned out to be a rather handsome young man with a pale face. Zhuge Liang was not the only one surprised. Everyone else was surprised too. They did not expect the guy who dared to invade Wanxiang City to be so young. "I'm from Buzhou Ancestral Star." Without waiting for Ji Yufei to ask, the young man told him about his background. It turned out that this guy was a disciple of the Ziyun clan from Buzhou Ancestral Star. Just like the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star, Buzhou Ancestral Star was an enormous ancestral star with life. In the past, Ji Yufei had stayed on Buzhou Ancestral Star for a period of time. Ziyun clan. Ji Yufei was startled. He recalled his experiences on Buzhou Ancestral Star. The Ziyun clan had a great background on Buzhou Ancestral Star, as they were the descendants of the legendary Ziyun Supreme. According to the legends, the Ziyun Supreme had established the ancient heavenly court on Buzhou Ancestral Star and unified the entire Lifestar region. He was a legend on Buzhou Ancestral Star. He also recalled Zi Yunxiao and Zi Yun. The two siblings were the most outstanding talents of the Ziyun clan, undefeatable existences among the younger generation. However, it was a pity that they had encountered Ji Yufei in the past. As a result, the undefeatable legend of the two siblings was shattered. The young man's name was Zi Yuntian. He was also an outstanding figure among the younger generation of the Ziyun clan. Despite his young age, he had already reached the peak of the Saint Emperor realm, only half a step away from becoming a great saint. Not many among the younger generation of the Ziyun clan could match up to him. The Zi siblings have also come to the soaring dragon ancestral star. Ji Yufei pondered for a moment before asking. The two siblings had already displayed heaven-defying talent on ancestral star Buzhou back then. Now, their cultivation was most likely not bad, at least higher than Zi Yuntian. No, they are still in seclusion in the ancestral ground of the Ziyun clan. However, they will come out soon. You can meet up then. Zi Yuntian said. Haha, very good. I would like to meet up with them as well. Ji Yufei roared with laughter and said, get lost. Remember, there won't be a next time. Otherwise, you know what the consequences will be. You really let me go? Zi Yuntian said in disbelief. Didn't you hear my patriarch telling you to get lost? Zhu Guliang shouted at Zi Yuntian. Zi Yuntian snorted coldly. He turned around and glared at Zhu Guliang with a murderous glint in his eyes. TSK. How dare you act so fiercely here? Be careful that you won't be able to walk out of the Wanxiang city. Zhu Guliang laughed coldly. Hurry up and get lost. The Ironblood Daoist walked over. His Saint King's presence surged as the figure of a phoenix appeared around him. The scorching true phoenix flames caused the space around him to distort. Zi Yuntian glanced at the Ironblood Daoist, then at Ji Yufei. He then turned into a streak of light and shot into the sky, wanting to leave. However, just as he was in the sky above the Wanxiang city, there was a sudden bam. He then fell down from the sky, as though he had slammed into a transparent wall. Ha ha! Zhu Guliang and the others could not help but burst out laughing at this sight. Chapter 2866. Just as Zi Yuntian left the city with his tail between his legs, Ji Yufei's figure also disappeared. No one could see how he left. The cultivation of Ji Yufei's doppelganger was miles ahead of everyone else. This made the Ironblood Daoist and the others speechless. An extraordinary person indeed had extraordinary abilities. The Ironblood Daoist and the others naturally did not dare to ask about Ji Yufei's matters. However, the disappearance of Ji Yufei's doppelganger seemed to have made the Ironblood Daoist think of something and revealed a pondering and puzzled expression. At this moment, many cultivators had gathered in the surroundings. They were all watching from afar and did not dare to approach. The battle ended and the crowd dispersed. Some of the cultivators who were watching from afar also gradually retreated. At this moment, the moon was in the middle of the sky. The sky above Wanxiang city was still filled with strange phenomena. Sometimes, the divine sound of the great Tao could be heard, and other times, the light of the great Tao shot into the sky. It was as if someone had attained the supreme Tao fruit. In Wanxiang city, the Tao runes were vast and mighty. Bathed in the divine light of the great Tao, many cultivators in the city were still in a state of enlightenment. However, the cultivators outside the city were not so lucky. The range of the phenomenon was limited to Wanxiang city. At this moment, it was difficult for outsiders to enter even if they wanted to. After the incident where Zi Yuntian attacked Wanxiang city, the city was sealed. An even stronger city-protecting formation was activated, so no one dared to force their way into the city at this moment. To all the cultivators in Wanxiang city, this was an opportunity. Of course, there were not many who could grasp this opportunity. In a mountain range a few hundred miles away from Wanxiang city, a black figure was like a ghost. He moved quickly through the mountain range without making a sound. Wherever he passed, he did not alarm anything. The young man called Zi Yuntian went far away without looking back. He only stopped in a small valley a few thousand miles away from Wanxiang city. He sat on a huge rock and wiped the sweat off his forehead. He sighed and then smiled. Haha, I really did not expect that Ji Yufei to be so easily fooled. Zi Yuntian smiled and muttered to himself. He had to admit that he was really lucky tonight to be able to fool Ji Yufei and make Ji Yufei let him off. What happened? At that moment, a black shadow silently floated in from outside the valley. The voice it spoke with was incomparably sinister and ghostly. "Oh my God, can't you say something before you appear? I'm scaring people to death." Zi Yuntian was startled by this ghost-like fellow and nearly jumped up from the ground. One must know that even though he was far away from Wanxiang City, his mind was still unsettled. Cut the crap. Who are the people in Wanxiang City? This person was shrouded in a layer of black mist, and his figure was faintly discernible. He was no different from a ghost at all. "I think we should give up on Wanxiang City. We won't succeed." Zi Yuntian pondered for a moment and said. Then, he recounted what happened in Wanxiang City. What? Could it be that Jiyu Fei is in the city? Hearing this, the mysterious person was rather shocked. He had received news that Jiyu Fei's eldest disciple had already gone to the heaven realm to undergo the heavenly tribulation of a saint king. He thought that Jiyu Fei would also leave Wanxiang City to protect his disciple. "What do you think?" Zi Yuntian said. They had made a grave mistake. The phenomenon in Wanxiang City was not caused by the Iron Blood Daoist and the others when they were cultivating. It was also to investigate the situation in Wanxiang City that Zi Yuntian took the risk and attacked Wanxiang City. Then, he alerted one of Jiyu Fei's clones and almost failed to return. "He's really in the city," the mysterious figure muttered to himself as if he was thinking of something. "All right, let's go back. There's really nothing we can do this time. We can only look for the next opportunity," Zi Yuntian said helplessly. With Jiyu Fei's clone guarding Wanxiang City, even if the leader of the force behind them came personally, he would not be able to do anything to Jiyu Fei, let alone them. Who knows when we'll have to wait for the next time?" The mysterious figure said. "Why don't you go to Wanxiang City and investigate the situation of those people again? Fuck, if you want to go then go. Don't call me for such suicidal things in the future." Zi Yuntian could not help but curse. These bastards are too despicable. They actually tricked me into doing such dangerous things. If I wasn't smart, I would have lost my life in Wanxiang City. Could it be that his life was so worthless? "All right, I was just joking. Let's go," the mysterious figure said and floated out of the valley. Like a puff of smoke, he gave off a mysterious and eerie feeling, as if he was a devil that had just walked out from hell. "You should have done this earlier," Zi Yuntian muttered, and then hurriedly followed after him. The two of them traveled through the mountains and left Wanxiang City. They entered a primitive forest 10,000 li away from the city. In the depths of the primordial mountain range, there was a hidden valley. The valley was shrouded in mist. Sunlight shone down from the sky and shone on the mist, creating a myriad of colors in the void. The mist shrouded the entire valley, making it even more hidden. Even if someone were to fly across the sky, they would not be able to discover the secrets of the valley easily. Furthermore, the entire valley was covered by a great formation. Even if Zi Yuntian and the others wanted to enter the valley, they would have to pass through the guards of the valley. Just who are these people? Dozens of miles away from the valley stood a black-clothed youth on a mountain ridge filled with tall trees. This black-clothed youth was the clone of Jiyu Fei who had been secretly tracking him. He initially thought that the people of the Ziyun clan, a powerful clan of Buzhou ancestral star, had already entered the Soaring Dragon ancestral star. However, it seemed that things were not as simple as he had thought. The identity of the guy called Zi Yuntian was also very suspicious. It was hard to tell if he was a disciple of the Ziyun clan. Perhaps even his name was fake. However, one thing Jiyu Fei was sure of was that someone was watching him in the dark. It was like a venomous snake hiding in the dark, ready to bite him at any time. This made Jiyu Fei very unhappy. At this moment, Zi Yuntian and the mysterious figure had already entered the valley. They did not realize that Jiyu Fei's clone was following them. The valley was actually a secret stronghold of their organization in the eastern region. The valley was filled with jagged rocks and dense vines. There was only a small path that led straight into the depths of the valley. Chapter 2867. A valley was hidden in the depths of the untraversed primordial mountain range. The entire valley was enveloped by a formation. Even Jiyu Fei could not see what was inside. Who are these people? A figure stood on a mountain several dozen miles away from the valley. Under the night sky, the figure blended perfectly with the surrounding darkness. Even if the cultivation of the clone was similar to or even stronger than Ji Yufei's clone, they would not be able to detect Ji Yufei's existence. Ji Yufei was very patient. He directly sat cross-legged on a boulder on the mountain peak. While Ji Yufei was following Zi Yuntian to the depths of the primordial mountain range, Ji Yuzhong and Xiaoqing had returned from the Heaven Realm and returned to Wanxiang City. When Ji Yuzhong and Xiaoqing found out what had happened, they were shocked. Are the cultivation forces of Buzhou Ancestral Planet finally coming? Buzhou Ancestral Planet was one of the 5 great galaxies with life in the human world. It had once produced an invincible sovereign, and the Ziyun clan was one of them. "Where's my master? Is he still in seclusion?" Ji Yuzhong asked Ji Yufei in the main hall of the city lord's estate. "Master's real body is in seclusion. He's using a clone," the Iron Blood Daoist said. Ji Yuzhong was Ji Yufei's first disciple. He did not dare to hide anything and told Ji Yuzhong everything in detail. "Master might be going after that guy called Zi Yuntian," the Iron Blood Daoist added after some thought. HMPH, the Ziyun clan. Ji Yuzhong harumphed coldly in the main hall and did not say anything else. "We should send someone to investigate," Little Qing suddenly said. It should be known that if the powerful clans of the ancestral star of Buzhou really crossed the star field to come here, this was definitely not a small matter. Perhaps all the clans of the Tinglong continent would not sit still. Ji Yuzhong agreed and ordered the Iron Blood Daoist to send someone to do it. Meanwhile, the ancestral star of Buzhou was in a state of chaos. Many powerful races were fighting each other, and some superfactions were preparing to leave for the holy land of the world of cultivators, the soaring dragon ancestral star. It didn't take long for the sun to rise. Ji Yufei's clone was sitting on a boulder, motionless like a statue. Not a single trace of aura could be sensed from his body. It was as if he had blended in with his surroundings. If one didn't see him with their naked eyes, no one would be able to sense his existence. At dawn, Ji Yufei woke up from his meditation. He found that the fog in the mountains had not dissipated, which made him feel that something was wrong. He stood up from the boulder and observed carefully. He discovered that not only did the fog above the valley not dissipate, it had even become thicker. Ji Yufei didn't want to alert the enemy, so he continued to wait. However, the 2 fellows who went in last night didn't appear again. "I don't believe that you won't come out," Ji Yufei murmured to himself. He had decided to waste his time with Zi Yuntian and his clone. Meanwhile, Ji Yuzhong was frowning in the main hall of the city lord's mansion of Wanxiang City. Zi Yuntian's background was indeed suspicious, as the factions of Buzhou Ancestral Star had yet to travel across the starfields to come here. In other words, Zi Yuntian's identity and even his name were fake. It made Ji Yuzhong both shocked and furious. It seemed like a mysterious faction had their eyes on them. "Humph, those people are courting death," Xiaoqing said. No matter who it was, anyone who dared to target them would end up in a miserable state. The rare phenomenon caused by Ji Yufei's real body and the old tortoise had yet to disappear, shocking both Ji Yuzhong and Xiaoqing, who had just returned to Wanxiang City. It seemed like they had made some sort of progress while cultivating in seclusion. If the 2 of them were able to reach the quasi-supreme realm, who in the world would dare to provoke them? No one knew when Ji Yufei's real body would come out from seclusion, but Xiaoqing and the others were not worried that they would fail to defend Wanxiang City. Besides, Ji Yufei had also sent out his clone. The Wanxiang City remained peaceful for a few days. There were not many people walking on the streets, as all the cultivators were cultivating, causing the city to feel rather deserted. In the primordial mountain range 10,000 li away from Wanxiang City, Ji Yufei, who had been wandering around the valley for a few days, was getting impatient. As he was about to attack the mysterious valley, a figure suddenly walked out from the entrance of the valley. It was a black-robed man. This black-robed man was extremely tall, like a bamboo pole. However, when he walked, he was completely silent, and his speed wasn't slow at all. The man in black had his face covered, revealing only his eyes. Ji Yufei pondered for a moment before following the man. The black-clothed man carefully traversed through the mountain ridges and dense forests. Soon, The black-clothed man arrived in front of another valley and entered it. This valley was not that secretive, but it was also protected by a great array. The black-robed man walked straight into the valley. There was a transportation formation in the valley. The man in black stepped onto the transportation formation and activated it. Instantly, he was engulfed by a ball of divine light and disappeared into the void. There weren't many people in the valley, only a few black-clothed men walking around. From the clothes on these black-clothed men, it was impossible to tell who they were. These guys are really mysterious. Ji Yufei muttered to himself. He did not want to play the game of cat and mouse with these guys anymore. He walked out from the darkness and charged into the valley at lightning speed, capturing the men in black. With Ji Yufei's cultivation, it was extremely easy for him to take down a valley like this. He didn't waste any time and immediately searched through the soul memories of the men in black he had captured. Soon, he learned some things. These people were indeed from Buzhou ancestral planet, but just as Ji Yufei had guessed, they were not from the Ziyun clan. They were from the Middle State Immortal Mansion. The Middle State Immortal Mansion used to be a superforce on Buzhou ancestral planet, but it was destroyed by Ji Yufei. However, when Ji Yufei broke into the ancestral ground of the Middle State Immortal Mansion, some of the survivors of the Middle State Immortal Mansion escaped. He did not expect the people of the Middle State Immortal Mansion to appear again at this time. I see. Ji Yufei understood. The survivors of the Middle State Immortal Mansion actually had their eyes on him. They were really courting death. He didn't show them any mercy. When he found out their true identities, he killed the remaining members of the Middle Province Immortal Mansion. After killing these black-clothed men, Ji Yufei stepped onto the transmission array platform and directly activated it. He wanted to see where that fellow's destination was. Swoosh! Ji Yufei's figure disappeared into the void. Soon, his eyes lit up and he appeared on another formation. Chapter 2868. In order to avoid the mysterious person, Ji Yufei directly ascended the transportation formation platform that the mysterious person had used and directly teleported himself to the place that the mysterious person wanted to go. This is, when Ji Yufei appeared on another formation platform and looked around, he could not help but be shocked. This is Wanxiang City. How is this possible? Could it be that the remnants of the Central Prefecture Immortal Mansion have infiltrated Wanxiang City? Thinking of this, Ji Yufei's shock was no small matter. He immediately thought of the incident where Zi Yuntian attacked Wanxiang City. It seemed like Zi Yuntian did not attack Wanxiang City on a whim. How preposterous. Someone had told Zi Yuntian about the situation in the city. Zi Yuntian thought that there was an expert like the Iron Blood Daoist guarding Wanxiang City, which was why he dared to attack. After all, not everyone knew that Ji Yufei and Old Tortoise were in seclusion. Only his trusted subordinates knew about it. The remnants of the Central Prefecture Immortal Mansion who were hiding in the city were even more clueless. Of course, if there was really only the Iron Blood Daoist guarding Wanxiang City, then things would not be so simple. Greetings, Master. At this moment, a soldier guarding the formation platform turned pale with fright when he saw Ji Yufei. He hurriedly bowed to Ji Yufei on the formation platform. In Wanxiang City, there were only two places with transportation formations. One was the City Lord's Mansion. The transportation formation platform in the City Lord's Mansion was the most important transportation formation platform in the entire Wanxiang City. In Wanxiang City, the other place with a transportation formation platform was the military camp where the soldiers of Wanxiang City were. Ji Yufei had directly appeared in the military camp of Wanxiang City. This was the reason why Ji Yufei was so shocked when he saw the surrounding scene. There were remnants of the Central Prefecture Immortal Mansion in the military camp of Wanxiang City. It was truly unimaginable. However, Ji Yufei thought about it carefully. It seemed that only the military camp could allow the remnants of the Central Prefecture Immortal Mansion to infiltrate. Who walked out of this transportation formation platform before me? Ji Yufei glanced at the soldier and said indifferently, "Master, it was Commander Zhao." The general said, "Zhao Xin." Hearing this, Ji Yufei couldn't help but furrow his brows. He didn't expect Zhao Xin to be a traitor. It seemed like the remnants of the central province immortal manner were really persistent. Ji Yufei knew about Zhao Xin because he was a veteran in Wanxiang City. He was the first batch of soldiers recruited by Wanxiang City. He had survived until now and managed to become the army commander. A commander-in-chief was actually similar to a captain or a commander. They had hundreds of people under them, and this Zhao Xin was the person who commanded these hundreds of people. Of course, the war soldiers of Wanxiang City were no ordinary war soldiers. They were war soldiers formed by cultivators. To be able to command hundreds of such war soldiers was enough to show that this Zhao Xin was no ordinary character. Shua. Ji Yufei soared into the sky from the teleportation formation and rushed towards the city lord's mansion. He directly entered the city lord's mansion and arrived at the main hall before summoning Ji Yuzhong and Xiaoqing. Soon, Ji Yuzhong and Xiaoqing arrived at the main hall. When Ji Yuzhong and Xiaoqing saw Ji Yufei on the throne, they couldn't help but be surprised and overjoyed. However, they soon realized that this Ji Yufei was only a clone. Even if it was a clone, it was no different from Ji Yufei's real body. Ji Yuzhong and Xiaoqing didn't dare to be negligent. Go and capture Zhao Xin for me. Ji Yufei directly ordered Ji Yuzhong. His tone was very calm, as if he was talking about something unimportant. Yes. Ji Yuzhong received the order and left. Not long after, Ji Yuzhong walked into the main hall with a person in his hand and threw the person on the ground. Before the person could stand up, an extremely powerful divine sense directly invaded the person's sea of consciousness and searched his soul memories. Sigh. On the throne, Ji Yufei suddenly sighed and retracted the divine sense that had invaded Zhao Xin's sea of consciousness. This Zhao Xin was indeed a spy. From Zhao Xin's soul memories, Ji Yufei knew the truth about the Central Plains Immortal Mansion. Back then, when the Central Plains Immortal Mansion was defeated by Ji Yufei, only a small portion of them managed to escape. Who would have thought that they would dare to seek revenge now? This was something that even Ji Yufei didn't expect. Ji Yufei then pointed his finger and instantly pierced through Zhao Xin's forehead, destroying his Yuan spirit. This made it so that Zhao Xin couldn't even become a ghost anymore. After that, Ji Yufei told Ji Yuzhong where the remnants of the Central Province Immortal Mansion were hiding and asked him to send people to clean them up. They absolutely could not let a single one of the remnants of the Central Province Immortal Mansion escape. After receiving the order, Ji Yuzhong turned around and walked out of the main hall to gather the combat soldiers. At this moment, on the ancestral planet of Buzhou, a superforce activated a teleportation formation and sent their geniuses to the soaring dragon ancestral planet, which was regarded as a holy land by all cultivators. The cultivators on the ancestral planet of Buzhou could no longer sit still. However, only the great clans and forces had control of such long-distance teleportation formations. Ordinary forces naturally didn't have such treatment. Many people even set foot on the ancient path of humanity that led to the soaring dragon ancestral planet. The ancient path of humanity was extremely dangerous. Even Ji Yufei had walked on such an ancient path in the past. Now, the ancient path of humanity had obviously been continued. On this day, two figures walked out from the ancestral ground of the Ziyun clan. It was a man and a woman. The man was extraordinarily handsome, while the woman was like a fairy that had descended from the heavens. These two people were the siblings Ziyun Xiao and Ziyun Soaring Dragon Ancestral Planet. Ziyun Xiao raised his head to look at the sky and said. At this moment, in the eastern region of the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star, there were at least 3 experts surrounding an extremely secretive valley made of rocks. The 3 experts had surrounded the valley without making a sound. Do it. The 3 experts attacked at the same time. Powerful energy waves shook the world. A layer of transparent divine light appeared in the sky and enveloped the valley of rocks. A formation. The 3 experts couldn't help but be shocked. They couldn't break through the valley at all with their full strength. Remnant of the immortal mansion of the central province, die. Ji Yuzhong roared and charged forward. His fists blasted a huge hole in the divine light that enveloped the valley, and he directly attacked into the valley. Shrill cries immediately rang out in the valley. Ji Yuzhong went on a killing spree in the valley. He didn't show any mercy at all. He wanted to eliminate the root of the problem. The other two experts also attacked the valley. They were the Iron-Blood Daoist and Xiaoqing. Chapter 2869. The soldiers in Wanxiang City were too comfortable. They had to be trained. Battle cries could be heard from the mountains outside the Valley of Rubble. The cultivators from the Central Province Immortal Mansion that had slipped through the net did not have a high cultivation base, but it was enough to make the soldiers outside flustered. Half an hour later, the battle cries in the mountain range disappeared. The mountain was extremely quiet. The mountain wind blew, and a faint smell of blood spread out. Jiyu Zhong, Xiaoqing, and the others walked out of the valley. They had gained quite a lot this time. They had found many good things in the valley. Outside the valley stood thousands of soldiers. They stood there like blocks of wood. No one said a word. When Jiyu Zhong and the others walked out of the valley, a heavily armored general wielding a bronze spear in front of the thousands of soldiers immediately went forward to welcome them. Meng Chen, how was the battle? Jiyu Zhong said as he glanced at the warlord who was already standing in front of him. Meng Chen was a member of the Meng clan. The Meng clan was a cultivation clan that was loyal to Jiyu Fei. In the past, the entire clan had followed Jiyu Fei and left the Great Desolate Star. If they hadn't met Jiyu Fei, the Meng clan would still be living a primitive life on the Great Desolate Star. The Great Desolate Star was one of the stops on the ancient road of the human race that Jiyu Fei had walked on. The current Meng clan was full of experts. As Jiyu Zhong's disciple, Meng Long had already cultivated the immortal martial body. His cultivation speed was even faster than Jiyu Fei's in the past. The military authority of the Wanxiang City's guardian soldiers naturally had to be handed over to Jiyu Fei's trusted aides. Only then would it be safe. The commander of the 3,000 soldiers was Meng Chen. Although Meng Chen's cultivation base was not as high as Meng Long's, he was still one of the best among the younger generation of the Meng clan. Master, the enemies that escaped were all killed. 3 people died and 36 were injured. Meng Chen said loudly. Jiyu Zhong was also his master. Although Jiyu Zhong did not teach him any battle techniques or cultivation methods, the entire younger generation of the Meng clan addressed Jiyu Zhong as master like Meng Long. What? There are even people who died in battle? Jiyu Zhong's eyes widened when he heard this. These fellows were living too comfortably. In such a small-scale battle, 3 of them had died and 36 of them were injured. Jiyu Zhong couldn't accept such a result. Trash, a bunch of trash. Why am I raising trash like you? Just a few small shrimps are enough to throw you into chaos. Am I still counting on you to defend Wanxiang City? Jiyu Zhong roared at Meng Chen and the 3,000 soldiers. Meng Chen was scolded until his head drooped. His forehead was covered in sweat, and he did not even dare to breathe loudly. The 3,000 soldiers were even more terrified. They were trembling with fear, and no one dared to make a sound. This kind of battle result was already very embarrassing. 3,000 soldiers had actually died in battle against the dozens of fish that had escaped the net. This really shouldn't have happened. One had to know that the cultivations of those who had slipped through the net were not high. He had thought that he would be able to deal with them easily, but those people were all desperados. Once they fought with their lives on the line, it was terrifying. Once there was fear in their hearts, no matter how strong the soldiers were, they would eventually be defeated. These 3,000 warriors still lacked tempering. Only when they truly had no fear in their hearts would they be invincible and become invincible warriors in this world. Jiyu Zhong scolded the soldiers fiercely before leaving with Xiaoqing and the Iron-Blood Daoist. He left the soldiers in the mountains and told them to find a way to get out of the mountains and return to Wanxiang City. The matter of the Middle Province Immortal Mansion had finally come to an end. However, Jiyu Fei knew that the Middle Province Immortal Mansion had not been completely annihilated yet. These people were only the vanguard. Those behind them did not dare to make a move. At the very least, Zi Yuntian managed to escape this time, and his whereabouts were unknown. This more or less caused Jiyu Fei to feel somewhat displeased. Zi Yuntian was truly a character, to be able to escape even after being targeted by him. At this time, the true members of the Ziyun clan had stepped onto the ancient road of the human race from the ancestral star of Buzhou to the ancestral star of the soaring dragon ancestral star. The pair of siblings from the Ziyun clan were extremely domineering. They did not take the shortcut. Instead, they stepped onto the ancient road of the human race and were invincible. The tempering on the ancient road of the human race was not a joke. People would die. Throughout the ages, countless geniuses of the human race had fallen on the ancient road. It was a blood-stained ancient road. However, not everyone was as bold as the pair of siblings from the Ziyun clan and dared to take the ancient road of the human race. The successors of some major clans had directly used the intergalactic teleportation formation and arrived at the ancestral star of the soaring dragon ancestral star. Heaven Realm, Eastern Earth. Deep under the ground, there was magma everywhere. An ancient palace was floating in the magma. It was pitch black inside the ancient palace. Suddenly, two rays of light appeared in the ancient palace. A figure that was sitting cross-legged in the ancient palace suddenly opened his eyes. A divine light shot out from his eyes, illuminating the entire ancient palace. Swoosh! At this moment, a flame directly descended from the sky. It broke through the layers of soil and directly entered the ancient palace where the magma was. The person sitting cross-legged in the ancient palace stretched out his hand and caught the flame. It was a communication talisman. Soon, the person in the ancient palace stood up. Is Jiyu Fei going to take that step? That old tortoise is also going to take that step. The person in the ancient palace muttered to himself. I, Yuan Jiyu, will not let you take that step so easily. The dark ancient palace lit up. It was a young man with a sickly pale face. However, who would have thought that this young man was actually a genuine antique? Yuan Jiyu Emperor Xian, the most mysterious Emperor Xian of the Heaven Realm. No one would have thought that the dignified Emperor Xian was actually hiding in the magma in the depths of the earth. Soon, a young cultivator walked out of the ancient palace and soared into the sky. He broke through the layers of soil and rushed out of the ground. That brother of mine is going to take that step. Human Realm, Southern Wilderness, Dragon Emperor City. A golden-haired young man was drinking alone in a tavern. There were many cultivators in the tavern. These cultivators would talk about anything in this place, especially the matters regarding the 5 great regions of the human realm, which were the hottest topics here. The phenomenon in Wanxiang City in the Eastern Domain had also spread to the Southern Wilderness and became a topic of discussion among the cultivators there. Only the golden-haired young man, Yuan Hong, knew what this meant. Yuan Hong was still in the Southern Wilderness. The bloodline of the golden spiritual ape in the human realm that he was looking for seemed to have been severed. This made him a bit disappointed and depressed. Chapter 2870. Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star, Southern Wilderness, Dragon Emperor City. This was an ancient city that had existed for countless years. Be it the darkest age of antiquity or the dark turmoil, it still stood in the Southern Wilderness. The Southern Wilderness was also the ancestral land of the Zhu clan of the remote antiquity. The Zhu clan of the remote antiquity was the most ancient cultivation clan that had existed since antiquity times. Its ancestral land was located somewhere in the Southern Wilderness. It was very mysterious. In present times, not many people could find the ancestral land of the Zhu clan of the remote antiquity. Yuan Hong had been in the Southern Wilderness for some time, but he still couldn't find the ancestral land of the Zhu clan of the remote antiquity. He wanted to pay a visit to the clan master of the Zhu clan and ask him about what happened to the golden spiritual apes in the mortal realm and why they disappeared. The Zhu clan of the remote antiquity was a local tyrant. They should know everything that happened in the Southern Wilderness. Yuan Hong had already found some clues. A golden spirit ape had once appeared in the 10,000 mountain range of the southern wasteland thousands of years ago. Since then, no one had ever seen a golden spiritual ape. It was as if the golden spiritual apes in the mortal realm had disappeared from the ancestral star of the soaring dragon ancestral star. Yuan Hong felt that the appearance of the golden spiritual ape in the 10,000 mountain range of the southern wasteland thousands of years ago was definitely not an accident. There weren't many members of the golden spiritual ape lineage. In Yuan Hong's generation, there were only him and an uncle that he had never met. He didn't know whether that uncle was still alive or not. It was necessary for him to find the golden spiritual ape that was left in the mortal realm. At this moment, Yuan Hong was sitting in the largest restaurant in Dragon Emperor City. He ordered some dishes and drank by himself in an inconspicuous corner. Inside the restaurant, there were many cultivators chatting about everything under the sun. Have you heard that the young immortal sovereign of the Zhu clan is coming out of seclusion? A table of cultivators not far from Yuan Hong was whispering to each other. Is it true that the young immortal sovereign is coming out of seclusion? Another cultivator asked in astonishment. Haha, if it's true, there will be a good show. A cultivator laughed and said. The desolate ancient Zhu clan is at odds with the 4 ancient clans. If little immortal sovereign comes out of seclusion, those so-called geniuses of the 4 ancient clans will become trash. Someone said something like that. Humph. At this moment, a white-robed young man sitting at the neighboring table became displeased. When the cultivators at the table saw what happened to the white-clothed young man, they were all shocked and didn't dare to say anything else. They quickly paid the bill and rushed out of the restaurant as if they were fleeing. Yuan Hong could not help but take another look at the young man in white when he saw this. An expert. Yuan Hong casually glanced at the white-clothed youth. He could immediately tell that the youth's cultivation was not low. Even if it was not on par with him, it was not that far off. What little immortal sovereign? If he dares to come out, I, Gui 12, will crush him with a single punch. The white-robed youth said disdainfully. What? His Guisha. Someone couldn't help being shocked to the extreme after hearing the white-robed youth's words. Guisha was a great expert of the Black Tortoise clan. He had already cultivated to the great sage realm at such a young age. In the entire southern wilderness, there were not many rising stars who could achieve this. Guisha was very conceited. He gave people a feeling of showing off his abilities. Facing him was like facing a sharp blade, making it hard for people to look straight at him. Yuan Hong couldn't help but shake his head at this scene. Although Guisha was also a great figure, he was still miles away from Yuan Hong. As one of the 4 ancient clans in the southern wilderness, the Black Tortoise clan naturally had many experts. There were indeed many heaven-defying existences among the rising stars of this clan. Back then, the young powerhouse of this clan, Gui Teng, had a great battle with Ji Yu Fei in Dragon Emperor City. In the end, he was defeated by Ji Yu Fei. Since then, Gui Teng was unable to recover. In the end, he failed his tribulation in the chaotic world and died. Gui Teng had become a thing of the past. Guisha was one of the few powerhouses among the young generation of the Black Tortoise clan. He was confident that with his cultivation base, he could easily deal with that bullshit little immortal sovereign. However, there was no doubt that the little immortal sovereign was powerful. Before that little immortal sovereign entered secluded cultivation, very few people in the entire southern wilderness could withstand 3 moves from him. Some of the geniuses of the 4 ancient clans were very afraid of this little immortal sovereign. However, some people didn't think so. They thought that they were invincible. If that little immortal sovereign dared to appear, they would definitely beat him up until he vomited shit. Even Yuan Hong was looking forward to it. He wanted to see what ability this little immortal sovereign had to dare call himself an immortal sovereign. Yuan Hong didn't plan to leave the ancient city. At this time, in the eastern domain of the soaring dragon ancestral star, incomparably shrill demonic howls were constantly coming from the Devil Cave. The great devils in the depths of the Devil Cave couldn't sit still any longer. The devils in the Devil Cave had already received the news that there was a rare treasure in Myriad Phenomenon City. The demons naturally didn't want the rare treasure to fall into the hands of Ji Yu Fei. Well-informed people knew that the great devils in the depths of the Devil Cave were about to make a big move, but no one knew what exactly it would be. On this day, the Devil Cave shook. One after another, powerful figures walked out of the depths of the Devil Cave. They were the extremely powerful demons. Each of the demons was shrouded in dense killing intent. Very soon, the empty space in front of the entrance of the Devil's Den was filled with numerous black-armored devil soldiers who had walked out from the depths of the Devil's Den. These devil soldiers had been nourished by Devil Dao essence for countless years in the depths of the Devil Cave. As for how strong they were now, no one knew. This time, the demons in the devil cave could be said to have put in a lot of effort. Subsequently, a devil general came out of the devil cave riding a war horse. An unimaginably powerful devil Tao aura spread out from the devil general's body. In an instant, the whole heaven and earth shook under the impact of the devil general's aura. The heaven and earth lost their color, as if this part of the heaven and earth could no longer contain him. These devil soldiers had been nourished by devil Tao essence for countless years in the depths of the devil cave. No one knew how strong they were now. This time, the demons in the devil cave had put in a lot of effort. Subsequently, a devil general came out of the devil cave riding a war horse. An unimaginably powerful devil Tao aura spread out from the devil general's body. Chapter 2871. There were 4 major forces in the eastern domain, namely the Zhao family of the Desolation, the Dongfang family, the Devil's Den, and Jiyu Fei's Wanxiang city. Among these 4 forces, Jiyu Fei's Wanxiang city occupied the smallest area. Even if Jiyu Fei occupied some of the cities of the Dongfang family and the Zhao family, it didn't change anything. However, because of Jiyu Fei, Wanxiang city had a special status in the eastern domain, and no one dared to provoke it. Even the Dongfang family and the Zhao family of the Desolation secretly wanted to attack Wanxiang city, but they were defeated by Jiyu Fei. Jiyu Fei even blatantly occupied many cities, but they didn't dare to make a fart in the end. In fact, forces like the Zhao family and the Dongfang family of the Desolation would be thanking the gods if Jiyu Fei didn't provoke them. How would they dare to provoke this malefic star? However, the Eastern Devil's Den didn't give Jiyu Fei any face. Demons were the greatest enemies of the world. No matter who Jiyu Fei was, they would still have to fight him in the end. It was better to do it sooner than later. Hence, the demons in the Eastern Devil's Den began to mobilize their forces and awaken a large number of demons that had been sleeping since ancient times. In the next half a month, the demonic chi in the Eastern Devil's Den soared to the sky, covering the sun. From time to time, huge demonic shadows would appear in the surging demonic chi, emitting an extremely terrifying aura. This wasn't a real demon coming out, but the aura emitted by the ancient demon in the depths of the Devil's Den disturbed the laws of heaven and earth during the process of awakening, causing the demonic chi to condense into a demonic shadow. The ancient demon was about to be born. Just the aura emitted by the ancient demon was enough to cause chaos in the world. If its real body descended, it would definitely be even more terrifying. And now, the Devil's Den was going to make a move against Jiyu Fei. Even the peerless great demon was defeated and killed in battle. Only by awakening the oldest demon in the Devil's Den could they deal with Jiyu Fei. This was the foundation of the Eastern Devil's Den, a supreme force that could truly sweep through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. On this day, boundless devil chi surged out from the Devil Cavern. Terrifying figures walked out from the Devil Cavern, each of them exuding an ancient and vicissitude aura. The armor worn by the ancient demons had many slash marks on it. This was the strongest demon warrior from the ancient era. Every demon warrior had a terrifying combat power that was infinitely close to that of a holy venerate. Back then, under the leadership of the extreme demon ancestor, it was this demon warrior that fought in the 9 heavens and 10 earths and slaughtered countless living beings. If such an ancient demons were to be awakened from their slumber, it would be an unimaginable disaster for the entire eastern region. This was because each of these ancient demons could easily kill a great sage, and they dared to fight against a holy venerable. They were the trump cards of the eastern region demon cave. In order to get rid of Jiyu Fei, the East Region Demon Lair had even revealed their trump card. Roar! Terrifying demonic roars came from the depths of the Devil Cavern. At this moment, countless demonic creatures in the Devil Cavern trembled in fear. Among the monstrous devil chi, figures walked out of the Devil Cavern. There were not many demon warriors like this. There were only 100 of them. However, when these 100 demon warriors stood together, even a true holy venerable would feel their heart palpitate. The 100 demon warriors stood quietly, and the terrifying aura they gathered spread in all directions. A devil general leisurely rode an old horse out of the Devil's Den. This was a scarlet unicorn horse with blood-colored scales and a single black horn on its head. The Scarlet Unicorn horse wasn't an ordinary horse. It was a devil horse with the bloodline of the devil dragon. It was incomparably powerful, but this Scarlet Unicorn horse was very old and skinny. It looked as if it could collapse at any moment from the devil general sitting on it. The demon general riding this old and skinny horse was also very old. He did not wear a helmet. His white hair was messy like a bird's nest. He was holding a devil sword in his hand. The sword's blade was full of cracks. The old demon general was wearing a stone-like devil armor. It was refined from a black devil stone. It looked ancient, and there were even some holes on the devil armor. However, this old demon general who was sitting on the old horse as if he had not woken up yet was a ferocious devil that had killed so many people in the 9 heavens and 10 earths in ancient times. After countless years, this ferocious devil general was awakened from his slumber by the powerhouses of the demons. From his half-closed eyes, a terrifying blood-colored light shot out. A powerful devil Tao aura spread out from the old demon general's body, shaking the entire heaven and earth. It seemed that as long as this old demon stretched his waist, the surrounding heaven and earth would collapse and shatter. Rumble. There seemed to be muffled thunder roaring in the void. The scene around the old demon general was a bit frightening. The void around him was filled with pitch-black spatial cracks, as if there were black bolts of lightning circling around him. It seemed that this side of the heaven and earth couldn't contain the body of this old demon general. Woo! A demon general took out a horn and blew it. The sound instantly rushed to the 9 heavens and spread far away. It even spread from the eastern region devil cavern to the outside world. For a moment, the people of the Dongfang family and the Zhao family were inexplicably shocked. The area controlled by the Dongfang family and the Zhao family bordered the eastern region devil cavern. The powerhouses of the Dongfang family and the Zhao family who guarded the border were incomparably nervous. At this time, after hearing the horn, the black-armored demon soldiers who were standing still immediately rushed to the sky, forming a small square formation and rushed out of the eastern region devil cavern. Although the number of these ancient black-armored demon soldiers was small, each of them was not as simple as a veteran of hundreds of battles. These demon soldiers had probably been through thousands of battles. Such ancient demon soldiers had a strong murderous nature. Any one of them could cause a region to fall into chaos and panic. Seeing that the black-armored demon soldiers were about to disappear at the end of the horizon, the old demon general riding on the old horse slowly flew into the sky and chased in the direction where the black-armored demon soldiers disappeared. At this time, Wanxiang City was still calm. The afterglow of the setting sun shone on the ancient city, lengthening the shadows of the buildings in the ancient city. Outside the city gate, people who went out were entering the city and returning to their homes. Hello, Brother Chun. It's your turn to be on duty today. At the city gate, an old hunter was carrying a dark brown wild boar that weighed over 100 kilograms. He was about to enter the city. When he passed by the city gate, he greeted a young warrior who was wearing battle armor and holding a spear in his hand. He was a young warrior who was guarding the city gate. Uncle Lee, your harvest today is not bad. The soldier guarding the city gate glanced at the wild boar on the old hunter's shoulder and said to him with a smile. This old hunter was quite famous among the mortals of Wanxiang City. He was a famous marksman. With a bow and arrow, he could shoot anything he pointed at. He had the ability to shoot a target 100 meters away. Haha, it's not bad. Come over for a drink or two when you have time, the old hunter said. Sure. The young soldier replied. The old hunter carried the wild boar he hunted and walked into the city gate. Although this old hunter was old, his strength was not weak. Ordinary strong men were no match for him. The soldiers guarding the city gate were actually ordinary soldiers of Wanxiang City. They were not the 3,000 soldiers that were truly made up of cultivators. One had to know that the 3,000 soldiers would not be able to maintain the stability of a city. Even if they could, it would affect their cultivation and their combat strength. Mortals were needed to manage a city. Therefore, there was a group of soldiers made up of mortals in Wanxiang City to help Jiu Fei maintain the order of Wanxiang City. Moreover, there were quite a number of ordinary soldiers in Wanxiang City. These ordinary soldiers were responsible for daily patrolling and guarding the city gate. These were insignificant tasks, but they were indispensable. Just as the old hunter walked into the city gate, the setting sun in the distant sky was blocked by a dark cloud that suddenly appeared. The entire sky suddenly darkened. Then, a terrifying aura came from the distant sky. The old hunter at the city gate turned his head and saw endless black gas sweeping towards him. Within the black gas, there was a strange demonic figure faintly discernible. Enemy attack, close the city gate. When the young soldier guarding the city gate saw the scene in the distant sky, he immediately turned pale with fright. Then, he rushed towards the city gate with all his might. At this moment, the crowd outside the city gate was in chaos. Everyone was rushing towards the city gate. In an instant, angry roars and cries filled the air. "All of you, get out of my way!" The soldiers guarding the city gate shouted angrily and tried their best to push the crowd away. However, at this moment, the crowd outside the city gate seemed to have gone crazy. They rushed into the city and blocked the city gate. The people inside wanted to close the city gate, but they could not. At this moment, a strong suction force came from the distant sky. Countless people squeezing on the city gate immediately flipped over and fell to the ground. Faint and illusory figures flew out from the bodies of those people and flew towards the incoming demonic aura. They fell into the mouth of a demon soldier wearing black armor. Those faint and illusory figures were the souls of ordinary people. The black-armored soldier opened his mouth and sucked in all the souls of the people blocking the city gate. Then, he swallowed all of them. Even the old hunter who had entered the city gate earlier was not spared. His soul was instantly sucked in. Buzz. At this moment, a rumble was suddenly heard in the void. Then, a light barrier appeared in the sky above Wanxiang City. It descended from the sky and enveloped the entire Wanxiang City within it. Roar. A furious roar came from Wanxiang City. Then, a figure shot up from the city lord's residence and arrived in the sky above Wanxiang City. He stood in the sky and stared at the demonic aura sweeping towards him from the distance. Golden Tao patterns intertwined in his eyes. Chapter 2872. The monstrous demonic aura arrived and instantly shrouded the entire Wanxiang City. Terrifying demonic roars resounded in all directions, and the region where the Wanxiang City was located seemed to have turned into a terrifying demonic domain. The world suddenly changed, and the entire Wanxiang City sank into darkness. This caused countless mortals in the city to be terrified, and the city was in chaos. However, very quickly, a few magic lamps were lit up in the city, and the entire city was as bright as day. Then, soldiers appeared to maintain order, and the chaos in the Wanxiang City quickly calmed down. Everyone in the city hid in their houses, and not a single person could be seen on the streets. Even the soldiers who were maintaining order hid in their houses. When the gods fight, the mortals suffer. An old man who was hiding in his house said with a trembling voice. At this moment, no one dared to collect the corpses of the mortals whose souls were devoured by the ancient black-armored demonic soldiers at the city gate. The corpses were strewn all around the city gate. Demon bastards from the devil's den, you deserve to die. In the sky above the Wanxiang City, Jiyu Zhong was enraged when he saw the corpses at the city gate. These guys actually dared to come here and cause trouble. Swoosh. At this moment, a black light shot out from the surging demonic aura outside the city. With a poof, it pierced through the light barrier and penetrated Jiyu Zhong's shoulder. A cold demonic aura instantly invaded his body. In the next moment, half of his body turned pitch black, and his vitality was constantly being devoured by the demonic aura. What? Jiyu Zhong's shock was no small matter. The demons outside the city were so powerful that they could easily break through the light barrier and even injure him. Roar! Jiyu Zhong roared angrily, and a ball of golden light blossomed from his body, resisting the demonic aura that invaded his body. 9 golden Tao patterns appeared on his body, and the pitch-black half of his body that was corroded by the demonic aura gradually regained its golden color. In a dozen breaths, Jiyu Zhong forced out the demonic aura that invaded his body, and the bloody hole on his shoulder that was pierced by the demonic light was also healing. His heart shivered. These demons were ridiculously strong. They could easily break through the light barrier formed by the Great City Barrier Formation. Didn't this mean that they could easily attack Wanxiang City? Thinking of this, Jiyu Zhong couldn't help sweating. However, he knew that it wouldn't be easy for the devils outside to kill their way in. Hey! An ancient devil in the middle of the monstrous devil Qi outside the Wanxiang City was a little surprised. This human was actually able to withstand one of his attacks without dying. When did the Saint Emperor's fleshly body become so powerful? There was an ancient voice that was muttering to itself. This was a type of divine will fluctuation, able to let all creatures know what it meant without the need for words. You demons actually dare to come here to die? Jiyu Zhong stared at the surging demonic qi outside the city as he spoke coldly. Golden runes interweaved in his eyes. This was the martial heavenly eye. Even if he used his martial Dao heavenly eye, he could only see some blurry demonic figures within the demonic qi. The laws of the demonic path within the demonic qi were disrupting the heaven and earth, blocking his vision. It's that person's successor. At this moment, another voice sounded. It seems to be the case. We can't let it go. A demon said from within the demonic qi. Cowardly scoundrel, come out and fight if you have the guts. Jiyu Zhong said sternly. At this moment, he realized that these demons that dared to kill their way into the Wanxiang City weren't simple. They were very different from ordinary demons. Moreover, what made him uneasy was that he couldn't sense how many demons there were. At this moment, the others in the Wanxiang City were also alarmed. Xiaoqing soared into the sky and arrived beside Jiyu Zhong. A great sage aura was released from his body. Demon Dragon. Within the demonic qi outside the Wanxiang City, some of the demons were a little excited to see Xiaoqing. He's mine. Don't snatch him from me. A demon said impatiently. Ironblood Daoist also walked out of the City Lord's mansion and flew to the sky above the City Lord's mansion. Looking at the demonic qi that covered the sky outside, he couldn't help but feel nervous. At this moment, the strange phenomenon that appeared in the Wanxiang City had already disappeared. Everything returned to normal. Jiyu Zhong and the others knew that Jiyu Fei and Old Tortoise had reached the most important juncture. They might be about to take that step to return to their original state. However, the demons just had to arrive at this moment. Could it be that those demons also noticed something? Alright, quickly get rid of these people so that we can go back earlier. An old voice rang out. After that, the devil didn't say anything else. Subsequently, the demonic qi that shrouded the entire Wanxiang City retreated rapidly and entered the bodies of the demons outside the Wanxiang City. The invading demons finally showed themselves. This is, when Jiyu Zhong and the others saw the square formation formed by 100 ancient black-armored demon soldiers standing in the void, they were extremely shocked. An ancient aura was released from these demon soldiers. It's an ancient demon. Xiaoqing was extremely shocked. Ancient demon. This was definitely a synonym for power. They were much more ancient than ordinary demons. Their silhouettes could even be traced back to the distant mythological era. TSK, so what if they're ancient demons? It's not like we've never killed ancient demons before. Jiyu Zhong said disapprovingly. It's better to be careful. Xiaoqing said. Yes. Jiyu Zhong nodded. After all, Xiaoqing was his martial uncle. Jiyu Zhong dared not disobey him. Who's going to kill these two fellows? The old demon general rode on his old horse and walked out from behind the ancient black-armored demon soldiers. That demon dragon is mine. A tall and big demon soldier with two black horns on his head walked out from the formation of the black-armored demon soldiers. He looked like a bull demon king. Yes, that human is mine. Then, a humanoid demon soldier covered in black scales walked out. All right. The old demon general nodded and did not say anything else. TSK, do you think you're the ancient demon lord? You can kill whoever you want. Even the ancient demon lord cannot kill some people. Jiyu Zhong stared at the two demon soldiers and said coldly, his face full of disdain. We're not the ancient demon lord. But we're more than enough to kill you. The demon soldier with two horns on his head said loudly. Then, he walked towards Jiyu Zhong. A strong demonic aura was released from his body. Every step he took caused the entire world to tremble. When the ancient demon soldier walked in front of the light shield, he stopped and waved the demon spear in his hand and stabbed forward. Boom! The demon spear in the ancient demon soldier's hand stabbed the light shield and there was a loud explosion. The demon spear in his hand shone brightly and ancient demon marks appeared on the demon spear.